This is the train wreck that is Adepticon Showdown.
Jeez.
Can everyone hear us? Is there any? There's people in the chat already.
Oh, there's someone who's like,
Can't even see the chat.
how do I? I'm on the miniature alive. Okay, how do I like?
Scott says, just a thought regarding the miniature monthly videos. Usually you have a static image in the corner. Yeah, I remember that. How about when the video is focusing on following some pre-existing art, put the picture on the top right-hand corner. So for like miniature monthly videos, yeah. Yeah, we could do that. It is if we have those pictures. Definitely. Like in Matt's Barbarian would like to see the reference he was following. Did you have a reference, Matt, or were you just?
Like during multiple times during the video, I like flashed the reference up, and the picture is in the folder. So if you want to do,
Wow. Well, I failed pretty epic on that one. Okay, yeah, that was a good call, Scott. I will definitely. Maybe I can figure out. I mean, that is definitely a possibility. So, we can do that.
yeah, I mean, there'll be another video in that series. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's all about barbarians.
Well, cool.
You gotta think like most barbarians are actually fashioned after my own physique here. So you know.
Well, only the first video is up, right, Aaron? Because
It's been it was a really busy December, and it's like December, January is supposed to be like kick back, let's get back in order and like get things going again, and I feel like it just went like Mach 2000. So
oh, I know, same here.
I know I posted both videos. I know Liz has them scheduled. I don't know if both videos, the first two. I know the third one.
I just thought I could give them a preview here because I have the model like right next to me.
Yeah, just do a preview, man. Yeah.
So we got nice, dude. It's pretty sweet. Who makes that again?
This is it's Mindworks.
Mindworks, okay. Yeah.
My favorite miniature company right now.
Yeah, they're super cool. Matt, when you start painting tonight, bring that back up again when you have the bigger picture.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I will.
I didn't want to wreck our introduction to our special guest today.
Absolutely.
If I switch to your screen, that just ruins everything.
But yeah, I'll bring it back up. But this is where we're at after just the two videos. So at the end of the second video, this is where we're at.
Freaking awesome.
It's like an hour and a half of painting, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. And that is working on extreme lighting. So, as I always tell my students, when you go to the museum, you don't generally see pictures at noon at all. It's just boring, Like, think of your favorite movie poster, and none of them are at noon, I mean, there's probably like someone will go, oh, but hold my beer. Here's the one that was like that, and it was a great movie. But normally, like I always call it like movie lighting, but extreme lighting, whatever we want to call it, concert lighting. It's just cool, So I'm stoked that you're going over that because it's like getting the ins and outs of just everything. So. And then like my videos that are like 18 hours long, Matt does them in a nice, concise half an hour, usually 40 minutes sometimes.
Yeah, I try to keep around that.
But he also focuses on one particular part of that thing, and so we're trying to get that. Pretty much the entire Barbarian series will be out this month, so or at least the first three. I don't know if you have any after that. But,
well, I've given you two, but after I get back from Adepticon, I mean not Adepticon, but LVO, I will film one more. I'm actually really stoked to keep moving on it because it's looking nice.
No, it's super cool and it's like actually pretty interesting. So, and I think that's always something that like, I don't know, I just think it's cool. It's all about the light, right? Okay, so let's see. I'm so discombobulated. We had so many audio problems just to get started on this. Whew, good times. All right. So tonight we are doing some painting, and then we are talking. Well, I guess we could introduce our special guest. We're not going to ask him any questions because we're going to do that at the end. And if people in the chat want to ask questions, we are not going to answer any of them. No, I'm just kidding. Dallas will see what he can answer. I mean, he can't answer everything because we can't let the cat out of the bag on certain things. But he will answer everything. And I just said his name so you know who the special guest is. But
I was like, wait a minute.
anyways, all right, here's Dallas.
Yeah, look at him.
I was just waiting for like a huge fart or something. And like, oh my God. That wasn't us. Right on. How's it going, Dallas? I'm really excited to have you. Yeah.
Can you like?
Right.
Dallas. Okay, hold on.
So Dallas, like,
okay,
I hear you're like a kind of a cool miniature company called something like Atomic Mass Games or something like that.
All right. Hold on just a second because we're seeing if
Hold on just a second because we're seeing if they can hear
Dallas.
Dallas.
Tell him like a story.
Dallas,
or something.
tell him like a story or something.
Know exactly what's just beyond the trees, right? No one hears this, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
he's
I don't
revealing-
know.
yeah, that
I
was
don't
an
know.
amazing secret,
Yeah.
Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an amazing
Yeah.
secret.
There it
Dallas.
is?
I can't
Okay.
believe.
Yeah.
Okay, that
There it
makes no
is?
sense
Okay.
at all. So it's my desktop
Okay,
audio
that makes
is
no
Dallas
sense at all. So
only?
it's my desktop audio is Dallas only.
I don't understand computers at all.
I don't understand computers
Okay, anyways,
at all.
Are we there?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
anyways,
we're there. So everyone can hear.
Yeah, I think we're
Test,
there.
test,
So everyone
one,
can
two.
hear echo now.
Now I want to hear the rest of the story. I mean,
Yeah, no.
Somebody's echoing.
And ruined it.
Yeah,
Very good.
Probably.
Air?
Probably.
All right.
Someone is echoing. So
Right.
Aaron's echoing? Am I echoing? Is it Aaron?
Oh,
Am I
face
echoing?
cam
Is it me?
Hold on. Okay, is that better? Am
think
I not
Aaron's-
echoing anymore? Check. Checkity, reckety.
Is
One day it
Okay.
stopped. Okay. that
Heather
was
says
it.
it stopped.
So when I panic, I just hit all the buttons, and I hit one button too much.
oh jeez.
We're
When
the
are you
sign,
gonna-
surprisingly, so it's all good.
When are you gonna let
Surprised
me
that
just
it
let
worked,
Liz
but
do
no,
it?
These are the
man.
secrets to my my studio painting, Dallas, and you've probably noticed this. When I panic, I don't know what to do. I just use all the colors.
Oh, I know. And then Tony goes, "Hey, what do you think of this?" I'm like, "Looks like Aaron panicked."
Dial it back a little bit, maybe. You had to use all 71 of the monument colors, huh? Yes, I did.
Oh, 70? What is it?
I don't know. It's so many now. I'm so confused. I just paint with colors and stuff. It's cool, but yeah. So we're happy to have Dallas on. We are going to be talking the big Adepticon showdown later in our show. Dallas he's painting something and he's trying to make a cross symbol out of his brushes. I think it's some weird religious cult that he's and hang loose, whatever. So anyways, I'm going to be doing some fire effects with not fire. And then Matt was supposed to go first, but he diva'd on us, and he's like, no, I'm going last. So that's what we're going to no. He just needs some time to get his thing prepped because it's kind of boring at first. So he's going to go last. Anthony's going to go second. And I don't know. Hopefully Anthony shows a little skin. I know we can't show too much because it's a family show, but, there you have it. So anyway.
Yeah, I'm painting on Jean Grey tonight, and since there's already two amazing versions painted by Anthony, I wanted to at least have a decent showing.
You're this is gonna be super sweet, man. You bring your style to it. It's gonna be awesome. I love it, dude.
Yeah. Anthony, you've been burning on both ends, man. You've been posting
I
stuff like
know.
crazy. Like you're like, and my team's done. Like, whoa, wait a second, we have three more sessions to go.
You know, it's like it's just. Yeah, I was like, I just had to keep going, you know. I make sure I have something to show at our game that we're gonna talk about later. You know, that'd be cool.
Yeah, gotta.
So have you finished your 10-person roster?
I have Honey Badger. I'm gonna switch out Maverick for Honey Badger because she's awesome. So she's my last one. But I'm gonna go back and maybe talk about refinement and finishing the models to like maybe like from like a gaming to maybe a bit more display level.
We have, and if we have, I did pull pictures for our community spotlight. If we have time, we'll do it. Otherwise, we'll just save them for next time. But there's a bunch of conversions in there, including possibly yours, Anthony. I can't remember, but people are going crazy with the conversion stuff. I don't know. Like Dallas, ever since you posted the 4 Horsemen, like I've seen more. Like people are doing insane stuff. Like professional quality stuff. Like it's like
the conversions. The conversions have really gone up, and like I thought the 4 Horsemen is cool. I will tell you. So we're gonna play the game, right? Adepticon. You 3 are challenging me, right? I'm not gonna tell you a lot about the game. We're working on something special. It's narrative. It's just a narrative fun thing because I think that's what Aaron's gonna love, and actually all of us are gonna love. I converted 4 characters just for this showdown.
Are they all Wolverines?
No.
And next up is Wolverine. It's just 4 different versions of Apocalypse. It's just gonna cry.
It's 4-pack. 4-pack.
4-pack.
I gotta. And speaking of like conversions, Aaron, like you're gonna love it. The Dracula Castle. I have an idea to convert the Dracula Castle, and I'm going to try to really go crazy and make it an even more extreme. Like it's such an extreme piece of scenery, anyways. But I'm making it even more extreme, and I'm hoping to get that done.
That's super cool.
Not by
There's
Adepticon.
so many people have painted that model lately, and like, in fact, there's a bunch in my my January pick of the month folder. So it's just a really cool model, and like people are painting the crap out of it. I mean, they are doing an excellent job.
Yeah, it's such a cool miniature.
Yeah,
super rad. All right, well, I should probably start painting, otherwise we're gonna run out of time. And of course, I've lost 2 people here. Oh, wait, hey, there's Anthony.
We see your. Oh wait, let's see.
Was I a jerk? And
I see your glasses.
Yeah, of course I didn't. We don't.
I'm gone.
Dallas, do we?
Well, with this, I think we can just do your screen full screen, Aaron.
Yeah, we could, but
no,
that would be more work. All right. Okay. So I got all 3 of you up here. Now you can make funny faces at me until.
Mug him.
Yeah.
Just mug and
I
take
don't think I'm on the stream.
There we go.
Heather. Oh, there I am. Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay. We've been totally ignoring our the people on the stream, so we should probably Anthony, get on that.
I would like to answer Jay Fredlinger. I have a massive collection of tiki mugs up on my shelf above my kitchen. Like I have a giant collection of tiki mugs. And there might be a Thanos and a MODOK up there, as well as a mummy and a creature from the back lagoon and stuff.
Nice. How can you see? That's like pretty impressive. My old eyes can't see anymore. But Sweet Tea and Coffee has magnetized the bats, wolf, and some cotton. I feel like the bats are like,
aren't those
like so tiny? How do you magnetize that? Yeah,
they're real tiny. Yeah, that's impressive.
And thanks, Heather.
Maybe they're just
thanks for doing sound check.
Like magnet tape.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that at a community spotlight. Maybe Sweet Tea and Coffee can come on and show us how to magnetize little itty bitties.
Yeah.
Okay, so Oh, okay. The bats on a clear stand makes sense. So we were talking about trying different formats for the stream, and talking to Ross. He was like, maybe you guys should have some pre-specified topics. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's an interesting idea. So so I really enjoyed what Aaron's been doing with like fire effects. And so I volunteered him to do that. But he didn't have any fire effects, but he did have some blue blast energy effects.
I just
So that's
painted
why.
the fire effect. Yeah, we're trying
But it
to
was
get some
super
blue
cool.
blast energy.
Yeah. So Aaron, so you've like Zenithal primed, right? So
Yeah,
far,
yeah,
and
I
now
kind
you're
of,
doing contrast paints straight
and
from the bottle.
there was a little bit, yeah, straight from the bottle, because why? I mean, life's too short, right? But also, I don't really care if this looks any good right now. Like, I just need there to be some color on here. And there is some red overspray from when I airbrushed this on a couple streams ago. That might be a little bit of a problem, but we'll find out.
I kind of like that overspray because it kind of undercoats it a bit, and it provides some color harmony, just subtly, right?
Yeah,
that you can't
it adds a little
really,
bit
I
of
think
that
that's
red in there.
yeah,
I
totally.
see what you're saying though, because like if there's overspray of red on something that's supposed to be glowing green, it's like you really want high saturation, and it might kind of take away from the saturation
It could,
because
yeah,
of
for
contrast
sure.
colors.
But I'm gonna, as soon as this dries, I'm gonna put white back over it in the areas I don't
Yeah.
want that to happen. So
Absolutely, that's what I would do too. So.
and I'm saying that like I meant to do it that way. I actually just forgot to put the white on. We were, Dallas kept blabbing about his big game he's playing or whatever, and I forgot. I got nervous. I was like, oh gosh. So
It's for you. It's for your love.
yeah.
Hey, he's doing this game for you. You're the one who asked it in the first place.
I know. It's funny how that works, but we gotta flip the script. It's not.
Hey, Aaron, so as you're painting, I've noticed you're not getting like even coverage. Are you doing that on purpose, or
Yeah, I actually do that. I've okay. So my first 10 years of painting, everything was all about an even coverage, and now I don't think I even coverage anything anymore. I would much rather be like kind of blotchy and sometimes there's a method to the madness. There isn't really one here. I'm just trying to. I actually want some of this. I want the contrast to do the contrast thing. I want it to suck down sort of into the cracks and stuff, and do its goodness. So. Yeah, I'm trying not to I'm trying to put it on thick enough, and if I do get it like kind of funky, I can put some more on and just kind of move my brush around and try to get it so it doesn't look maybe too blotchy, but like an ordered blotchiness, I guess is the thing. But
gotcha. Airborne's excited to paint some Jean Grey with me next week. Some bad news is that we're able to get
great, right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry to break it to you.
Actually,
yeah. Instead of Jean Grey, we're gonna be painting a bishop. Bishop is pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like. but we can maybe do a private session. I can talk to you about Jean Grey. But yeah. So my bad. But yeah, AMG was Dallas really and Ross really helpful in helping to support painting classes with the MCP.
Throw Dallas under the bus and be like, they really dropped the ball.
I try to live by the rule. Like, don't bite the hand that feeds you. So.
Bishop, 100%.
We only give Jean Grey to our good painters. Wait, I'm sorry, Anthony. It just slipped out.
I already gave you 2 Jean Greys. That's enough. You don't get more.
What, you gotta sell more to Vertica's Vault?
That
just
was,
little
that was
thing
the
on
question
purpose.
when he's like, "Can we get more Jean Greys?" I was like, "How many Jean Greys does this boy need to paint?"
Yeah, we get it. You're good at painting Jean Grey.
Yeah,
I tried to like source like multiple Jean Greys and like they're like not they're nowhere no stores or anything. Yeah, it's not easy. Jeans are very precious. So yeah.
I felt like Anthony was like, like like canvas artists, fine artists. They're like I'm in my blue phase, and Anthony's like, I'm in my Jean
Jean
phase. Like,
phase, come on. You
Gray
can't
phase.
get enough Jean. I'm just saying,
I
Yeah.
agree.
Jean's pretty sweet.
Yep.
So hey Aaron, so that Iron Man, that blue blast, are you gonna try to match it?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. So I started painting this Iron Man a long time ago. It's kind of like the story of my life. Everything gets started, and then like 2 years later, I finish it.
Mm.
But
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
yeah, it just is what it is. So I had actually, because I was like, what the heck color did I use on this? But it was actually this color, and I just kind of blobbed it on and then left it. And then one of my friends
Yeah.
came over and he's like, whoa, the smoke is so cool. And I was like, I literally base coated it, but thanks.
Are you using that the Artist Opus, that dry brush to like do all your smoke effects?
No, not normally, but I'm trying it on this one because I'm
Okay.
sort of excited. So I discovered something. This is freaking awesome. So these brushes are really cool, and of course I don't have the brush that's not really cool, but so you notice how like on the big brushes, the top is like perfectly rounded up here. Sometimes there's a
Yeah.
couple hairs sticking out, but they usually fall out right away. But on the smaller brushes, they'll end up. Yeah, Matt has a good one. They'll end up almost like there's the pilot hairs or the what is it called? Like
The
the
extra long hair thing?
yeah the well whatever there's like extra hairs that are longer, and it
Mhm.
actually comes to almost a point. Like on one of my brushes, it was almost to a point, even though it was pretty scraggly. And so I was trying to do the stippling with it, and I'm like, this sucks. Like it's not doing it like when Byron did it at Nova, it was perfect.
Mm.
He did his little stippling, and it was like, oh, that's awesome. So I was looking at both brushes, and I realized, oh, well, this brush is like perfectly. It's rounded a little bit. It's like higher in the middle than on the sides,
Mhm.
but there's no errant bristles. And this one had bristles like sticking way up about an extra millimeter or two from where it is now. So I had my fingernail clippers on my desk because that's what I do. And I was like, I was kind of annoyed at my brush, and I was like, well, what if I just cut it off? Because like this brush isn't working, so if I ruin it, it doesn't matter because I can't use it anyways. So I just clipped the top, and now it's like a perfect stippling brush. So I did that to all of them.
Mm.
It's basically only happens to the smaller ones, but I'm sure if the bigger ones have some of those errant hairs or whatever, you could just do that on those as well. And so I found that like after I did that, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of stoked on that.
So you're cutting off the pilot hairs so
Yeah.
that it's more rounded.
So it looks just like this brush. All
Yeah,
your dry
got it.
brushes, even the small ones, should look exactly like the big ones.
So you're rounding it off. You're just
Yeah,
giving it a buff.
Yeah, I basically just kind of flattened it, but it works perfectly with toenail clippers because they're rounded too, right?
Mm.
So it kind of on accident just gives you a perfect shape.
So hey Aaron, Striker's asking what color are you stippling on right now?
So right now so this is supposed to be some sort of blue flame action, like we also used to do when we were kids, making the blue flame. But it's blue flames plus I think it looks cool as a blue flame. And so I started with the contrast aethermatic blue just to get sort of a pale bluish color down. And I wanted it to kind of collect in certain areas, but then I'm switching to Pro Acryl, has this bright jade, and I've got bright pale yellow from the Flameon set. And then they're just regular white. So I'm kind of just mixing in. Right now I'm mixing white in with the bright jade. So I'm getting like super vibrant. And you had asked that question, or you're talking about up in your flame game. That we should make a shirt that says that. And basically my whole thing with fire is where it's supposed to be light is got to be super, super bright. And I've been working with adding fluorescence because I've seen it used really well, like as far as getting like a really, really vibrant color where your flames are. But I've also seen it where it looks fluorescent. That doesn't look.
Is it fluorescent paint or fluorescent
paint?
pigment?
Yeah, fluorescent paint.
And are you mixing it with other paints, or are you just using straight fluorescent?
Okay, so that's the thing. I was using just straight fluorescent, and I think it looked like crap. Like it looked like fluorescent. It looked like, you remember when you were in elementary school and you used tempera paint?
Yeah.
The fluorescent tempera
Yeah,
paint.
it's kind of streaky and not
awful.
Yeah.
It had that crackly feeling. It was like super dry when it dried, and also it just looked fluorescent. There's a certain hue that fluorescent colors give off that I really don't like. Like I think it looks unnatural, and so my first thought was like, okay, well, how do they, like, if you go and look at a movie poster, that has fire on it, it looks like real fire, and they're just using CMYK. So obviously our normal colors can create a fire effect, right? It's got to be possible. But I've also seen some things, and there's a guy, Josh Davis, Orkbutt on Instagram.
Yep.
And he does a
Also
lot of
from
fire.
Chicago.
He's kind of famous for doing fire effects with his orcs and stuff. And he uses a lot of fluorescence. And so I was really curious when I got to Nova this last year to see his stuff in real life, to see if it looked fluorescent or if it just looked like fire. And hot damn if it didn't look like fire. Like it was really, really bright. But I think the trick is putting enough regular paint in with the fluorescence to not have that fluorescent-y look. And where you need it to be really bright and vibrant, you can let the fluorescent shine through like perfectly. So that being said, we don't have any fluorescence right now. So
Are those monument fluorescents? Like you're using the monuments?
I did buy the monument fluorescents. I predominantly use monument stuff, but I hadn't got the monument fluorescents yet. So that Captain America was just regular like golden acrylics and stuff like that. But I found that like, so it's like a combination. And sometimes like if I'm using regular colors and I'm not getting it bright enough, I might glaze fluorescence back over the regular colors. And then if that starts looking too fluorescent, I'll glaze the regular colors back over parts of the fluorescent. So you kind of get a best of both worlds sort of situation. And I think that works really good. Like now, granted, if you just use fluorescents by themselves, like you will get fantastic pictures. Like if all you cared about was posting your stuff on Instagram and not anyone ever seeing it in real life, you're golden. But I think that you need a combination of the two because it can't look fluorescent. Fluorescent is very unnatural. But when you photograph it, it just looks like fire. You know, like it doesn't look unnatural because your camera can't tell the difference.
Yeah, and mixing paint in with the fluorescent paint, it kind of solves the coverage problem.
Oh yeah, because it's like painting with bubblegum, huh?
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
But some of the newer fluorescents actually paint really well. Like I forget what I was using, but I don't know if it was some of the new Army Painter fluorescents or maybe it was some of their old stuff. But then also like everyone has AK has fluorescents, and like they're starting to get the mixture better. I will give them that.
Yeah, I found the AK fluorescent be almost a little gelatinous. It was hard to use.
The first
It's just like you're
fluorescent I ever
pushing
used
like
was
yellow.
a Vallejo, and it was like literally unpaintable. Like you could not paint with it. It was so...
The new Vallejo fluorescents are decent. You still have to mix with other paints, but no.
Yeah.
Hey, Aaron, time check. You have about 13 minutes. So
Sweet.
So you got the base with the contrast, and now you're stippling that jade on. Are you gonna go higher?
Yeah. So now I'm adding in. I added some white into that jade, but I'm trying to keep it. So the big thing is not putting too much. Try not to put too much white or any lighter color, really, for that matter. So when you're mixing your color, let's say you put white into it. So if I put a little bit over here, let's mix a lot of white into it. So like right here, I'm kind of on the verge of killing my color. This is still pretty vibrant.
Yeah.
Teal's good that way. But at a certain point, you will have added so much of the lighter desaturated color, and this works the same when you're going darker. So much desaturated color that it no longer is really that color. It's just like a mint or something. So if you stick with something like this, you still have a whole lot of vibrancy, and it will just show up better. So you got to play with those. So like if I'm starting to find that like the fire effect is starting to flatten out, or it's not getting any brighter really, but I'm going lighter and lighter, that usually means I got to go darker. So you got to go brighter, not lighter.
It's a very interesting, like the concept of value, but also luminosity.
Yes.
Because as you're adding white to it, you're increasing the value, but you're killing the luminosity, right? Because you're desaturating that saturation.
The saturation. Yeah.
And
Because
it is like a scientific fact that like the more things get desaturated, the more your brain just it doesn't care. The I don't care button gets pushed, and that's the worst thing that could happen to your paint job is someone go, yeah, looks nice, but I just don't care.
there's desaturation. There's no focus unless everything's desaturated, and then you have some few areas of focus where it's saturated. But there's actually a really interesting painting in the Art Institute in Chicago, and I forget who painted it, but it was like a scene within like a French brasserie or bar or something, and you had like a woman who's in the front whose face is like blue, right? When you're looking at it, it looks like she's lit very brightly, but actually the value is low. And so if you do a black and white photo, her face actually looks like gray or dark, like a dark color. But in color, because of the luminosity of the paint, it actually looks lit. And I think that's kind of a really interesting.
That brings up an interesting point, Anthony, is when you're painting. So I have actually my buddy Lane, or our friend Lane. He always like I'll be like, hey, what do you think of this thing? And he'll send me back a black and white picture, and he'll be like, you need more value contrast or something right here. Like, see, it's not you need it lighter here or darker there, which works a lot. But when you're dealing with saturated colors, it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
Well, they're like two different types of contrast, and your eye's drawn to things of high value, but it's also drawn to really saturated things. Like value contrast will always win against saturation contrast, but you can kind of create an additional effect, or if you don't have any. If the value contrast isn't super high, you can really create a strong effect if you use a very high saturated color in just one place, right?
I think, I agree, and I think especially when you're working with lighting effects, like lighting effects if it's colored light, it should be very saturated, otherwise you're gonna lose the illusion of light shining.
But it's actually more than that in my opinion, because I think that the most common mistake that people make when they're doing the lighting effects, or one of the common mistakes, is that they have the light that's cast by a light source be as saturated as the light source itself. And you really do need like a contrast between the source and the light cast by it. You want the source of the light to be a little bit more high value, a little bit more saturated than the light that's being cast by it.
Right. Yeah. Otherwise, which one's the light?
Exactly. Yeah. So contrast is always, you have to have a difference, right?
Yeah.
So then, Aaron, are you gonna go back? So are you painting on a bright like a?
So now I'm
like
painting
more
more saturated. This one,
okay.
the jade. I think it's jade. Yeah, something like that. I can use jade or dark turquoise here, but so it's super saturated color, but darker technically. So maybe that goes in some of my shadow areas. Typically, if here's one of my things, and I know it doesn't work all the time, but one of my little tricks is if you have a light source, like when you're driving at night and you see a car coming at you, where are the shadows in the headlights?
Yeah, I love this. That they're not there.
They're
There's
not
no
there.
shadows.
There's no
Yeah.
shadows in light.
Yeah.
So I get it. Sometimes we gotta fake it just to make, like, we want to make the picture look good, right? But technically, if you have a light source, your darkest color should be your darkest saturated color. So
Exactly. Yeah.
in fire it's
That's
like
great.
red.
Great.
It's not.
Wait,
That's
say that
great
again.
advice,
Say
yeah.
that again, Aaron.
So like, let's use fire for example. Okay. So everyone does basically yellow to black, right? And there's red in the middle. I live primarily in an orangey red because that's like a really vibrant color, and it like I'm trying to get that fire look, you know. And for some reason, the orangey color, yellow's not fire, red's not fire, but that orangey red is fire, you know. And so if I live in there, I can get a lot done. However, at a certain point, you start getting up into the wisps of the fire, and that's where it starts getting darker, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what that is? That's not the light of the fire. That's the see-throughedness of the fire, and you can see the blackness behind it, which is really weird when you're doing fire like that and you have a backdrop that's daytime, because they'd be like, well, where's the black coming from? It could be soot too, but
Yeah,
typically
I've
it's
seen the
actually
soot.
like when you
The
see
ash.
pictures of fire online, there's always a black background. It's the black is the blackness showing through. And I saw who was it? Kaha did some fire effects one time where she actually got
These nuts.
she basically made it she made the dark areas like the dark background in the fire, and it looked really cool.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so what you're saying is, like, for the light source, the deep areas, which normally would be shadowed, should actually be your very saturated color, right?
Yeah, so it'd be like a warm,
love that, yeah.
like Matt's hat. Matt's hat is the shadow. And that's as far as I go. And then so then you just have to live within those other colors and find, you know, like it's like anything else. We got to search and find the right tones and then make it work. And sometimes you just got to put them on and see what looks good and what doesn't.
So one thing I've found when I'm painting fire and stuff is that I actually like to have an area of white that's surrounded by my most saturated color, and it almost like tricks the eye, where it's like pure white paint, but the eye actually sees it as like being painted a
I don't know if it was in
color.
one of our earlier things, but I remember you saying something about that, and like you can't tell the difference.
Yeah, it's really strange, but it actually works. I don't know if you do that or not, but it's kind of cool.
It creates that contrast.
Yeah.
Do you have an example of that? Like,
Let's see.
We don't.
Yeah, I do. I have the rogue that I painted.
Just talk. Cool.
God, who invited him on?
I know.
So if we look at the explosion on this rogue model, like the deep spot in there, like down here, that's actually pure white. It's titanium white.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Surrounded by like areas
If you're surrounded by this area of high saturation, it actually looks like it's glowing.
Yeah. I think that contrast.
Like this gambit as well that I painted on our first stream. If anybody wants to see that one from start to finish. But yeah, you know, it's kind of a neat little trick.
All this talk about fire, I can't wait to like show Aaron some of the fire I've been painting. Maybe I'll bring it to Adepticon.
Oh,
I feel
hey.
like we should break into like a Beavis and Butthead thing here. Fire. Yeah, it's funny. Like I've painted a lot of fire lately, and as much as I do it, you think I'd get sick of it because it's not. I mean, it's easy if you want to just do it quick. If you want to do it right, it takes a little bit longer, you know. And it's like after a while, you're just like, I'm sick of fire. But then you get done with it, and you're like, looks pretty cool. I wouldn't mind doing it again. Like lava. After my last lava base, I don't want to paint lava ever again. But I'm already thinking about the next base. So.
It's pretty fun. Yeah. It's kind of like it doesn't take more time and effort, but you get this like great effect that's like really eye catching. So it almost like makes you want to do it again after you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
You really, I think the punchiest thing I seen you paint was like those the what we affectionately call in the studio the Cocoa Puffs for Dormammu. The that orangey glow, like man, like that orangey glow, Aaron, you got on that, like.
Did I put orange on those?
These nuts.
Yeah.
I love how Aaron has it.
Hey, listen, when I get done with the project, I just leave it. No.
There's no object permanence with Aaron. It's just gone.
I do the same
Cocoa
thing.
Puffs,
Brendan
what are you
and
talking about?
I were talking a while back, and it was when the MCP. Oh, it was Spider Woman. I was like, man, I really like that Spider Woman you painted. He's like, I didn't paint that. You did. I'm like, I didn't paint that. He goes, yeah, you did. I'm like, man, I don't remember. I do my job and I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, you just move on. It's cool.
All right, Aaron, we're coming up on your time. Is there any last thing things you want to share about your fire effects that you want to with the stream?
Look at reference pictures that can help. Fire is a little bit confusing because like sometimes the reference pictures don't really tell you anything because like whatever the background is affecting them. But I just say try it, and then just keep trying it. Try what I said about the living within that orange color. So like on this one, we're probably living more in like this color right here. So this is the original teal. That color's like got some white in it, and then at some point there's some yellow in it too for some final effects or whatever. But this is mostly it, and I'll come back and I'll highlight up from there. Maybe use this color or even closer to white, and then I might glaze it back down with this color again. So. It's just one of those things, play around with it. And then also you want it to be interesting. So maybe like there's certain points on this fire, like maybe this blast right here will get darker as I come down. Like it's already starting to get darker, but I'll just go darker, 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 and then brighter again where it hits the ground because maybe it's reflecting the fire back up. And I thought about this one too. I was like, is this going to turn black on top like soot, like an explosion, but it's not really an explosion. So I think this works, and then you can see where it kind of started and where it goes to pretty quickly. It's not too bad. So I'll keep painting on the bigger guy while we're watching Anthony. And
maybe we can see where you get to by the end.
Or maybe we won't. We'll find out.
Okay.
Alrighty. Any questions?
What's your man of mystery, Aaron?
Yeah, it's life is a big mystery. Shoot. I'll be lucky if I can remember tonight tomorrow. So
somehow things get painted though.
Yeah, I've been painting a lot lately, and it's like I just don't even know. I don't know which way's up. It is what it is, but cool. All right, Anthony.
Cool.
That's a beautiful orange splotch.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Where's that purple? You should.
You don't even have to try.
Color the wrong color.
Are you going to enter your abstract phase, Anthony?
Maybe.
That's not even a figure, man. How are you going to put that on the table?
This is the first question of the night for you, Dallas. Is how do you think this is going to do at the Worthy?
Yeah.
I actually just let Ben and Elizabeth judge everything. I don't actually do anything. I just sat back and eat a cupcake and watch them judge.
So is it the same judges this year?
Yeah, Ben Comets and Liz Beckley once again joining us.
Nice.
Someday Ben will tell me he won't want to do it, and then I'll have to find somebody different.
I think a key to like a good competition are solid judges, so it's really glad.
I agree.
For sure.
It's hard though, because after a while, like even at ReaperCon, after a while, I was just like, I don't want to judge anymore. Like it's stressful. like I do because I get firsthand to look at all the cool models, but sometimes you just want to enjoy the con or something, you know. So I get it both ways. I mean,
Yeah,
it's definitely that Saturday night, and like, you know, depending on how many entries you get, like,
yeah,
you know, you could be
everyone
judging.
else is
You could be
going out.
judging till, yeah, everybody else is going out eating pizza, having a good time, and you're sitting there till 2 o'clock in the morning arguing over.
Whose fire is better.
Well, I think that they should have used titanium white.
Yeah, what's going on, man? So, so I'm always thankful for the people who judge because it is.
for sure. Aaron, you mentioned using references, so I'm gonna follow that thread because just the importance of references cannot be overstated. And I think I'm gonna give a shout out to Marvel here. Just the Marvel United app is just pretty amazing. You know, just like you have unlimited like source material to inspire you on both how the artists capture the form of a figure, right, through the penciling, the inking, but also different ways of coloring and coloring of the comics as well too. So my section here, I'm going to spend the next 30-40 minutes talking about conversions and freehand. So this is my honey badger that I converted based off of this reference photo. And if you were on the Facebook group, a big question I had was, is honey badgers the one I converted here, is it too baggy or not? Because in my mind I was like, I always imagine her having kind of a baggy hoodie, but looking back at the reference, it's a bit more fitted. So well, based off of feedback and going with my heart, I kept it baggy. So in terms of like how I approach converting a honey badger, I both took an additive as well as a subtractive approach to sculpting her goggles as well as her sweater, her hoodie.
So for those who are like completely new to sculpting, can you just like quickly tell us what you mean by that?
Yeah. So like a subtractive sculpting would be like your classical way of sculpting where you have a block of marble and you're chipping away at it, right, to reveal the form of the figure.
You made that out of marble?
Yeah, pretty neat, right?
Yeah, you gotta dumb it down a little bit more.
A lot.
Holy cow!
This is Aaron's channel. You need to.
And then additive is kind of like how you would sculpt with like green stuff or putty, right? Where you're like adding like bits, like clay, right? You're adding bits of globs of clay and sculpting it, and putting it on, making the form, and then taking some of it off, right? Thanks, Scott. Scott says the hoodie's too baggy. You have to start over.
I think that's the hoodie that the honey badger would wear. Like, have you seen the honey badger videos? Like, they don't give an F, man.
Very true. Stryker says those tiny claws were the death of him. And so actually what I did, you can't really tell here. Maybe you can. Let me see. I actually reinforced the claws with a little bit of Magic Sculpt right there. And let me see if I can focus on her. Yeah, there, right here. So maybe you can see right here. Do you see? There's like a little glob of Magic Sculpt. So now when I press against the claw, it doesn't flex that much, which is something you can do.
Another trick would be sprue glue.
Sprue glue. That's good. Good tip, Dallas. Good tip. So sometimes with sculpting, you may want to think about more than just sculpting what it looks like, because one question I was thinking about was like, how am I going to get that little like connector piece sculpted between the two goggles, right? So instead of sculpting a little tiny piece like that, what I did was I made a little sausage and laid it over her face, right, like this. And then I put 2 little small balls for goggles, and then I flattened them. So by doing so, I didn't have to sculpt that little nub of in between her goggles, but then I still was able to get some volume there for me to paint on.
So you put
did
between the
you let the
balls,
sausage? Sorry. Did you let the sausage cure beforehand, or did you do it all in one go?
I didn't.
Did the
Aaron, do you have something to
start
say?
hard or soft? Oh my gosh.
What's that? I can't hear. My speakers are messing up. Hello?
Yeah. What was that, Aaron?
I said, did the sausage start hard or soft? The one between the 2 balls.
Well, it starts off soft and then it gets hard, and that's just what happens when you use epoxy putty, right?
Yeah, I can only
Right, that's
imagine.
what happens. so to
Liz, get control of this boy.
I think Liz.
I was trying to ask a serious question, Aaron.
I reverted to 4-year-old Aaron. I'm sorry.
It's yeah. To get back to Matt's question, I didn't let it cure because if I let it cure, then I wouldn't be able to manipulate that little nub as much. So when I put the 2 balls next to the sausage, by pressing the balls flat, it kind of also pushed that nub to make it even a bit.
You're killing Aaron here. You just
a little rounder,
you gotta think ahead before you say things around Aaron. he's gonna die here.
We need to have more conversion talk.
We need to make a list of words that you just can't.
Hang on, Aaron. Ross is calling me.
Aaron's fired. Okay.
You're gonna make Dallas leave. Come on, get yourself together.
All right. Enough of balls
talk about
and sausages. So, when I was making the hoodie, it was definitely additive at first. I was putting globs of of putty on and then shaping it. But then Dallas had a good point when he was looking at the work in progress shots. It was really baggy up here, so it did look like she was wearing kind of like a plastic bag, So I had to make the upper torso a bit more fitted. So that's when I let the putty dry, and then I started using a X-Acto knife to start shaving away at the putty. So then I was taking a more subtractive approach there, and then I would get a lot of marks from the scratching. So then what I did then was use a file to kind of file down to make it smoother. But then the file wasn't fine enough, and I got a bunch of more scratches. So then a trick that you can do is take a gloss varnish, right? And then just paint straight gloss varnish onto the figure, and it self-levels, right? And it covers a lot of the imperfections. And you can even use that for minor seam filling as well too. So after that, I got a more smooth finish. So you can see with the painting now, it's a bit more of a smoother finish. There's still some subtle texture. And I think that'll lend itself to kind of like a fuzzy hoodie kind of look.
That gloss varnish trick's a good trick, but you need to be careful with the gloss varnish that you do that last, because it's hard to get putty to stick on top of the gloss varnish.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. I never tried doing that, Matt, but that's a good point. Like,
But you can always rough it up a little bit, like with that same file, if you want something to stick to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've never tried that. I always just use the chapsticks.
The chapsticks?
Oh no! The whole point is with the gloss varnish to fill in the like scratches and stuff that he was making.
Yeah.
So it's more of a permanent thing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's cool.
Yeah. Which there?
Dallas puts chapstick on his figures? I don't understand.
No, you use chapstick to keep the putty from sticking to your tools and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I used to use the grease off my forehead.
You want to put chapstick on your tools, Aaron, and
when you're working that sausage.
Yeah, when you're working the sausage, put chapstick on the tools. And
I use my spit, actually.
Anthony.
No, for real though. No, I actually do use spit. Like, but
okay.
I actually spit on my hand.
And
then,
just talk to it, right?
For real. No, I really did. Another thing with
now that we've lost all our viewers,
another thing you want to do is get feedback as well too. I asked for feedback, and I forget who was it Kale? But I think they let me see. I have to give credit to where credit's due.
You can just give me the credit, even though you never talked to me all about it.
Oh God, who is it? Anyways, all right. So they suggested that like I use fishing wire to create drawstrings, right, on the hoodie, and I'll want to talk a little bit about how I did that. So I was at first trying to bend the fishing wire, but it would keep like springing back into shape until so what I did was take a little blowtorch and melt it slightly so that the string, the fishing line would deform, and then I would just snip off the sections that I wanted, and I was able to create these pretty cool dynamic drawstrings that stay in place, And then I stuck those on, and then put on some putty to fix it in place. So that's kind of, and I made little balls here for the little knots. There you go. All right, cool. All right, so that's the conversion part. And let me talk a bit about how I like to approach freehand. And the freehand here, I would say I may also apply to some black lining as well too. So when I do black lining and freehand, I typically like to not only use black paints, but also mix it with some black ink. And the reason is because, so if I put black paint here, black paint sometimes does not have the fluidity that I need. So when I'm trying to draw like a line, it may not like really extend. And you see how like immediately almost here, like it breaks, right? Like the line breaks, and then you're not able to get a fine line that is defined, right? And that's really important for like freehand to make sure you don't get a lot of breaks in your line work, right? And so like I'm gonna put a drop of black ink. So that's black ink up there. And then now you'll see the difference with black ink. The line doesn't break it. Well, okay, maybe it does. The line doesn't break as easily. Okay, and because with ink you have more fluidity, but sometimes it may be too shiny. So sometimes when you're doing freehand and you're painting with inks, then the glare can get in the way of you perceiving what you're trying to draw. So that's why I like to mix inks with paints, right? And that's more ink, and that's a trick that I use when I do my inking process. So it's not quite just like a value sketch. But I also because when you're inking for like comic style, you want to be pretty precise, right, with what you're doing. So yeah. All right, so let me put on my magnifiers.
I love that tip, Anthony, because I love mixing ink into my paints for myself,
Yeah.
just for like vibrancy and like more punchiness. So, like showing that how that draws a better line that's a fantastic tip.
And
Yeah.
I find that it makes it look even darker too.
Yeah.
Like with a little bit of ink in.
Yeah.
I like to mix like Payne's gray ink into the black. I really like that one, but
super
black ink. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For sure.
Also, usually if you're doing a really thin line, it's better to get it in the first try and not have to re-hit that line over and over again when it's like a hair wide.
Yep.
But if you do have to hit it again, using the ink, it kind of like
it's easier.
You don't get that like build up of layers that you can sometimes get.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like it lays really flat.
So I'm also mixing some gray in preparation for my my freehand, because with freehand, I don't know about you guys, but I don't often get it like perfect from the get-go. And since I'm painting over yellow, if I mess up with black, it's a lot harder to cover black with yellow, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna mock up like where I'm gonna plot like say Honey Badger's like the Wolverine eye part here, right? I'm going and like I want to make sure I get this line like how I want it to be, like this on this black section. I'm gonna mock it up with gray first, and then when I like where I have it, then I'll go over it with the black.
Oh, that's a cool tip.
Yeah.
Now, did you invent gray, or is that like a pre-made color?
What?
Huh?
What?
Yeah, Anthony.
Did you invent gray? Is that an Anthony Wang original, or is this a color that people can just buy from their local store?
You know, that's actually a good question. You know, I sometimes. Sometimes no, it's actually a good question.
Where is he going?
No, it's actually something that like I actually struggle with, because I don't want to buy gray because I can just mix black and white and make gray. But sometimes I want a quick warm gray or a quick cool gray, and I don't want to have to mix black, white, and a little bit of brown or a little bit of blue or whatever.
Warm gray? I thought the same thing. And Monument has like a set of cool grays, a set of warm grays, like all three. A set of neutral grays. I'm like, I'm never going to use these. I use them all the time now because I'm so dang lazy.
Yeah, exactly. But I think mixing it's actually pretty useful mixing your own grays, because you can play a lot more with contrast with saturation, you know. Yeah. But that's another topic for another time. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let me try to get close here and try to. Can you guys see? It's out of focus.
I just wanted to say too about your conversion, that the sweatshirt. I kind of like it because, like, you know, superheroes aren't like super polished usually nowadays. You know, they're like ruffians. You know, they're kind of the outcasts. That looks like the sweatshirt of a superhero. You know.
But yeah, and I think like Honey Badger, she's just a super unique character. I think she's like one of my favorite characters, actually. Mm-hmm. Because she's so like normal. She's like a kid and she's hilarious, you know. And I don't know, she's endearing.
us more.
Yeah, I do like her quite a bit. She's awesome. So I'm going to first start with trying to get a line down the middle of her sweatshirt, her hoodie,
Zipper.
the zipper line. So you could, in the comic here, you have like an option to do, like you can do two really thin lines, but instead I think I'm gonna do one thick black line and then hit it with a thinner line in the middle, because I think creating a thick line and a thin line is easier than doing two thin lines with equal width, right? So let's see if I can do it here. Can you see? Okay, here.
I believe in you.
Don't mess up.
No.
He's like, never mind. I'm just gonna do two thick lines.
Yeah.
That's right,
No
Anthony.
lines, I'm done.
Yeah. Okay, she's wearing a black jacket.
Okay, I think, yeah, and
I think you were off camera there.
Yeah, he just swapped the model. That's not
Yeah, I
good.
swapped it.
I saw that. Wait, is that one of those Jean Greys you can't get? It's not even Honey Badger anymore.
It's hard to do a freehand when you're laughing. But I think what it's also like, I think when you're doing these thin lines and controlled like lines, you have to make sure your pressure. It's really important about your pressure. You make sure your pressure is consistent and it's light, and that's super important, because if you vary your pressure, then you're going to get different thickness of lines. So let's try to get that.
Which
light.
in some cases you would want, right? So like you really do got to pay attention to how your paint's laying down brush. Yeah.
So Anthony, do you have any tips? Oh, sorry. After this, I'll let you make your line, and then I'll ask you a question, a leading question.
Yeah, what do you say? Go for it.
Well, like a lot of my tips that I share with folks when it comes to freehand has to do with actually like how you load the brush up in the first place. Do you have any tips about that, or do you think about that at all?
Why don't you give your tip while I paint this freehand?
Okay, yeah.
Anthony will
Well,
tell
like
you.
I think the big thing is that you want to be able to make a mark with very little pressure, right? Anthony just mentioned that. So a lot of times people are like, it's just subconsciously they're thinking, I have to be really careful making this freehand, and they load their brush up like really carefully. They load like a small amount of paint in the brush, like at the tip of the brush, and then they try to do freehand, and that's not going to work, because you want to actually like load the full belly of the brush up so that a small mark will actually make a mark, like a small amount of pressure will make a mark.
Yeah,
right?
so it doesn't dry on you.
Yeah. It will. Otherwise, you might get to the model. You might only be able to make like one little mark with the brush, before it's dried out, if you're lucky. Also, if you're doing freehand and you try to, make a mark with the brush and it doesn't make, a mark when you try, the last thing you want to do is press harder. Like, you don't want to press harder with the brush because you'll make a mistake then. It's like you want to go back and, sometimes you touch the water a little bit with your brush and then roll it. So you're getting like moisture from the base of the brush to the tip. Or, load your brush up more fully and try again. I don't know if any of those recommendations are jive with you, Anthony, but
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I think also your choice of your brush is important, because you don't want to brush a too thick of a belly, because if you accidentally mess up and you press too hard and you offload too much paint, it could be an issue. But I really like using this Artist Opus 0M brush. Can you see it here? This one.
it's kind of. Sorry, go ahead.
What you're saying?
Sorry. I just did a bunch of freehand with like a long brush with a really good belly on it, and it helped me a lot. So I don't know.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I think
yeah.
I think it's. I don't think that there is necessarily one right way to do it or
Yeah,
one right
absolutely.
tool.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
you
what
can
works
use
for
different tools
you.
depending on how you like to paint. You know,
Mhm.
I don't have as much brush control as Matt, so I'd like to have some just a bit of insurance, so I don't like totally mess it up. But I do like this because there is a big enough belly to hold paint, but it also has like a pretty fine point.
Yeah,
And
what
also
brush
the
is that
brush,
you're using? Yeah, what brush
yeah,
are you
the
using?
brush also, it's not too flexible. I mean, it's flexible just enough, but
Is that the mini series brush or?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so there's one line. I'm gonna mark up that Wolverine thing first. So the Wolverine thing, it's under her armpit, so it'll start here, right? It'll start here, right there. I'll mark that with the gray, and then it curves down, but there's a decent. There's like a decent. Maybe need a little bit darker.
I'll let it focus. Oh, there we go. Awesome.
Yeah.
Hmm.
My paint. The issue with Chicago is that the winter is so dry that my palette is drying up already. You know, it's like really annoying.
Hmm.
So that's why I like this. It's hard to get a nice line that doesn't break.
Yeah, typically dryness comes with the cold.
So I think I like that line. I think that line's gonna look pretty good.
That looks awesome.
So I'm gonna go with the bottom line, and so I'm gonna look at my reference picture. So I'm gonna make sure that I place the bottom line correctly. So you can see here that the bottom line starts also underneath her armpit, but it's pretty thick here, and it goes pretty straight, and then there's a really sharp curve as well too. So I'm gonna try to get that.
So how are you going to ensure the symmetry between the two sides?
I don't have to because the sweater is sculpted and there's like different like volumes, so like naturally the symmetry won't be like perfect, right? But what I do need to make sure is that the space between the line and the middle zipper is somewhat consistent, you know?
That's yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Is like the area that that's closest down
No,
there.
but it's a good point, because if like the symmetry is like perfect, but the sweater has like different like shapes, then it's not gonna look real. It'll look fake.
There'll be parts of the sweater that are stretched.
Yes, correct.
But anywhere that's not stretching, it should be right.
Yes,
Symmetrical.
correct.
So if you had to paint, like say it was a hardline surface, right? Something like Tony Stark, right? And you wanted to add some freehand shapes to that, how would you ensure your symmetry then?
Yeah.
Oh, so I would make sure to plot it with little dots to make sure like it's like connected dots, right? And
Like the grid in school when we were learning how to draw?
Yeah, I would do that, and then because if you get a dot wrong, then it's easier to cover over than like a fat like black ink line, But I mean, how do you guys do it?
I don't accept those commissions.
Touche.
Dallas is like, oh, it makes sense now. So if I'm like, let's say if you're just doing straight lines on a pair of pants, right? If you just start doing straight lines around those pants, what ends up happening? Like the line as you get around the side of the pants, it's like off in some kitty corner way. So what I do is I put it into quadrants. So I put a line on this side, a line on that side, a line on this side, a line on that side, and then I fill in between those, and then I fill in between those, and in between those. And I mean, it works a little bit easier for straight lines, obviously, but straight lines on pants is not an easy thing. Like every time I see someone paint a pair of pants with good straight lines on it, I'm like, they did it good, you know? And you can tell real quick the ones who didn't do that.
Oh man, I did this one piece where I was painting Sherlock Holmes, and he had like a kind of like a wool tartan pants. It was putting on there.
Oh no!
Kind of drove me nuts, but it turned out good. But...
Yeah, because sometimes the lines are super squished at the top of the pants or at the bottom of the pants, and they're wider at on the other end.
Oh yeah,
because that's just the way it has to be, because you can't there's no other way to do it. So sometimes you just gotta fake it, or don't take the commission. One way or the other. Like I'll take that commission if there's no striped pants. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for all you people out there painting your own miniatures, don't take that commission.
Yeah.
But you tell yourself to go to hell.
Yeah. Don't do it.
So
actually, those are the best ones to take, because then you have to finish it or you don't get paid, and and it's time to figure it out, right? Like.
Yeah. So after I painted those two guidelines, it's good to go back and see like how you feel like the lines are working in that shape. So based off of doing this, I realized that this top line is too angled and it needs to go closer to the middle zipper here and come down here, because otherwise the eyes would be too close to your armpit, right? Like that. Like the eyes need to be a little closer to the middle of her chest, right? So that this is now at this point, I'll probably go with the black ink, and just kind of get.
So you make an adjustment.
Yeah, I'm making adjustments. I mean, yeah, because I think the guides give me a sense of where I'm at. So now I will just make adjustments here.
I like this talk because I think a lot of people who don't do a lot of freehand or draw, and they see somebody like, you look at a comic book artist like Todd McFarlane or somebody who just I drew Spawn. It's just like, well, that's a person drawing the character that they created and they've been drawing it for the past 30 years. And it's also a sketch. But like actually watching a process of like methodically like shaping it in, taking the time. Like I love this part of the discussion here.
And it's one of those things where like okay, you've done it 35 times or 1,000 times, and then you go and draw it again, and because of the shape of the character, everything doesn't work.
Yeah, it's just
and
all
you're like, are you kidding
up.
me? Like Anthony could put this on another character who's a little more form-fitting jacket and have either none of the problems he's experiencing on this one, or massive problems because it's like it just doesn't fit. And then you have to be like, do the artist thing and go, okay, well, this isn't really realistic, but it's gonna look cool. It just is what it is.
So yeah, watching you plan it out and think about all the different ways to create that success and like reductively doing lines and additively doing lines, like I think is such an important conversation.
Yeah, and it's a lot. It's trial and error as well too. Like that the second gene grid that I painted in like a quarter of the time was because I painted that first one, which took much longer. But because of that, you're able to figure out like what's the most important. How do you like how do you capture the most the key parts of the miniature, and so hopefully I think her other side of the sweater should, be easier. But okay, so let me see. Yeah, let me just.
Hey, Anthony, I have a confession. I haven't been keeping track of time. I don't know if that was
what's the
my
time
job.
at? Yeah.
But
No, I'm keeping track. I'll
okay,
have
okay, cool.
yeah.
Hey, sorry, Dallas, we don't have any time for you tonight, but thanks for coming by. And
Bye.
Dallas, like, and I'm out.
Yeah, I'm almost done. Let me just get this thing. Oops.
No, I think it's looking fantastic. I love that yellow on that sweatshirt too.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
yellow is
it's
sharp.
good.
It's banging.
It's that orange. It's that orange just under the midtone there.
Yeah, so one thing a lot of people do is they'll add purple to the yellow, which creates a bit of an orange, but then it turns the shadows into purple. Sometimes you don't want that.
Yeah.
And so what I've been using here, and also inspired by the comics, is for the midtones to be kind of orangey, like you mentioned, Dallas, and actually the shadows are more brown. So the shadows are kind of a desaturated tertiary color brown, and then the midtones and the highlights are more saturated. So that creates some contrast as well too, without having to use color theory contrast, right? Like using the complementary color. So just a different way of approaching contrast.
I've been painting my yellows on my MCP the same way. Like I've switched out to like that more like putting in more oranges and ochres to create the contrast instead, and like warm tone browns instead of moving to like what other people like with the purples and stuff like that. It's like that orangey richness. It just works also with the Marvel stuff, right?
Yeah, totally. And that's why there's different ways of capturing a color. And that's why I love going to like Marvel Unlimited, and then using a color picker and just studying how these different artists paint their yellows or different colors, and that you learn a lot from that, and it's pretty sweet. So
that app is great.
Yeah, that app is so good. I don't know if Nick's on, but Nick Sherdick.
He is.
Oh, he is?
Or he was.
He was? Okay. But yeah, and like he was like, hey, what do you recommend? Do you recommend it? And just having like the entire Marvel catalog in your phone and not having like a whole building to store everything, is amazing. So I think it's just invaluable as a tool, but also to get to know the characters that you're painting. Right. Okay, now I'm gonna paint the eye part. My paint has already dried. Okay. So I added white, but then now I need to add some white ink just so I can have more fluidity, especially in this dry Chicago ridiculousness.
Oh yeah.
Seriously. Okay. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just pass out the net at this point. I need to put more on your brush because it's drying like immediately after my brush.
All right.
Ridiculous. Okay. So there's how I approach,
I think that gave some really good tips and stuff too for people that, like if you're just starting to do freehand. Another great tip for doing freehand, like if you don't do very much of it, start simply with lines. Put stripes on pants. Put a line at the bottom of a tabard. Like start getting good at the simple stuff, and then eventually you'll get sick of that, and you'll be like, okay, now I'm gonna do. I mean, like what you're doing on that sweatshirt's not rocket science, but it looks fantastic if it's done clean. And then that leads you up to like if you wanted to put like a full color graphic on the back of that sweatshirt because that's what people do. You've got it. You've got the skills that you can pull from.
Right.
That's what I think that is like one of the things. Like I got like I have a piece of plastic card around here. Like anytime I want to do freehand, I pull out that plastic card and I practice on that piece of plastic card like 5, 6, 7, 8 times to get that muscle memory before I commit to my miniature, right? Like do your sketching, right? Do some sketching.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a good idea too. And one last tip on freehand is that like if you mess up and your line isn't straight, you can always take the color next to it and then straighten out those lines.
Don't do it on Jean Grey because we all know you can't get that model right now.
You're so precious.
Everybody's buying it. Ever since Anthony painted that one, it just sold out everywhere.
Yeah.
Flying off the shelves. Cool.
Okay.
All right, Aaron, do you want to switch over to Matt?
Not really.
Yes,
No,
became
I'm just
Jean
kidding.
Grey.
Yeah, we are all about Matt right now.
So we started this up at the beginning of the
yeah,
of our little
Matt's
chat.
done already.
Yeah, I feel like it's getting pretty good. Pretty good. It's going pretty good over here, my side of the table.
That looks fantastic.
So yeah, I haven't really gotten to her skin and stuff yet. And also you can kind of see that the highlights are pretty pale on the blue. And that's intentional right now. I really wanted to get like a nice, really high contrast to the blue. So I have a little bit of a trick here that I'm going to be doing. Kind of a classic one. Maybe Dallas will recognize this one. Where we're actually going to like push the contrast of our color. So it has like, it goes really pale. And then fairly dark lines of contrast. So it's like too much contrast almost. And then we're going to glaze with like a thin layer of a blue ink over top of it. And we're just going to get this nice, really like high contrasty and very saturated blue, which will look really nice. So I'm just going to come in here. I'm coming in here with this Prussian blue. And we're giving it some really, really dark shadows right now.
Is that artist color like Heavy Bodies? Prussian blue?
Yeah. Prussian blue, and then the blue that's on there right now is cobalt blue hue. I'm not using, actual cobalt blue.
You're just thinning with water?
Yeah, just with water. Just water, yeah.
You're a little bit low.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I should probably zoom out one step just so
maybe,
a little easier
just
on
a
me.
little bit, yeah. You literally move the model at all, and it's out of.
Yeah, I just wanted to zoom in there real close so you guys can still see that there's a lot of messiness and everything still. So yeah, I'm letting it stay pale. I'll probably do one pass with some white, and then we're gonna do that glaze of blue, and we're kind of gonna do that with the hair as well, I think. And then I still haven't done my inking stage. So with my method, we do color first, and then we're going to do like a dark inking to do some separation. But I think with Jean especially, and the other X-Men that have the yellow undersuits, some of them doing a black ink kind of makes sense. But like in particular Wolverine, because it looks very aggressive. But for the female characters, a lot of times you don't go all the way to black unless you have this lighting effect separating it. So it'll be interesting. I'm not quite sure what we'll do with that, but we'll figure it out. I'm almost to the inking phase, so we're gonna get there.
If it goes horribly wrong, we can just blame Dallas. He's made us nervous or whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, I mean, it didn't take me that long to do, so I could just start over again.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Yeah, take that, Dallas.
Do you know how many things I've been blamed for in my life? Come on.
I don't like blaming Dallas. He's usually not at fault.
I'm trying to be the solution at all points in my life.
Yeah.
But
in my experience, it hasn't been Dallas's fault most of the time. But man, when it is,
to add on to Matt, what you're saying, sometimes if you look at the skin tight costumes are, it's usually the darker colors that are the most reflective. So those you can bring the shadows all the way to black, but sometimes the yellow parts are not as reflective. It depends on the costume, right? But
Yeah.
you might notice that for Jean, her yellows don't typically go all the way to black, but they could go to like a brownish or a dark orange or something, or like a burnt orange kind of color.
I think it has also to do with the gender as well. I know that this might seem weird, but bear with me because, you know, this is kind of like for female models in general. You kind of want to have like a softer amount of contrast between their highlights and shadows.
Yeah, that's true too.
Because like women, they have a lot of subcutaneous fat. So actually the like, peaks and valleys of the muscle, they're all kind of like softened up a little bit. So, and this is true for even really, really like buff women who are like, Olympic athletes and stuff. Even if you compare like Olympic athletes, men versus women, like women actually have like twice as much subcutaneous fat than the male athletes, and this is whereas like guys, we get the big beer bellies or whatever. But
So
yeah.
like for like a She-Hulk, her muscles may not be as defined as like a Thor. Is that what you're kind of saying?
What I mean is just the contrast range. So from light to dark, the ones that you use, you might want to have like a higher amount of contrast, like a deeper shadow color. And whereas like you might want to use something where it's like, oh, it goes down to like a dark mid-tone, but not all the way to like a really, really dark. It just kind of like less value range, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
She-Hulk might be like a, exception, I guess. But yeah, like definitely a model like this one, where she has a very well defined female form. We want to have that more subtle contrast. Of course, I'm actually kind of like intensifying the contrast a bit because we're going to do this like glaze of the color, which we're about to do. I'm going to do one pass with some white here to really intensify the contrast even further. And this will allow me to do like a couple passes with the ink maybe. Now blue ink is like really, really intense. Like blue is the strongest color. By color strength, I mean how much it affects a mixture and how like it will also affect your composition more, but like really how much it affects the mixture and how much it tints a color that you glaze it on top of, right? Whereas yellow is the weakest color, blue is the strongest. It's one of the reasons that yellow has trouble covering things is because it's such a weak color. It also like will be dominated by other colors in a mixture. But blue is exactly the opposite. it will like take over. So this is a really nice way to do really intense blues, right? Because we can have a really high contrast and then use the blue to moderate that contrast to kind of decreases the contrast when you glaze it over.
Blue's the bully color, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
It just bullies its way into anything and like just overtakes every color.
Yeah, and like most bullies, you want to have them in small amounts.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I just gotta uncork my blue. Now this is like absolutely the bluest ink. Oh shoot. I thought I had it, but it turns out it was actually this Prussian blue that I had on next to it. I guess we can use that one. There's this one blue that's just insanely blue. Oh, here it is.
It's an ink?
Oh, no, this is the Prussian blue. Yeah, it's a Prussian blue ink. This one's good, but the one I was thinking of was called Roni blue. And it is like the most blue thing you'll ever see. Ah, geez.
Is it like one of those really high chroma colors or something?
Well, high chroma just means it's like super saturated, and yeah, it is like super saturated, more saturated than anything else. But it looks like I've misplaced my bottle, so I might end up going with the Prussian blue here, and it will look fine, I guess. I just won't be able to show off this Roni blue color for you, everybody.
Is it what range is it from? Who manufactures it?
De La Roni.
De La Roni? Okay.
Yeah, so you know that they must be proud of it because they named it after the company.
Okay.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's why nobody else has it.
Yeah. Dang.
You don't see too many of those Liquitex blues over at Dalarani, so.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. Oh, geez. I'm gonna look one more place, and then we're just gonna get on with it. Yeah.
This is one of my favorite.
Like literally. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna talk while you search.
I appreciate it.
I think this is one of my favorite ways to paint, and I don't always do it, but definitely my blues and my red, where you do that, like, you go down to blue and a red, and then you bring it up to like peachy, and you just ink over it like a glazy, and it just makes it so vibrant, ties it together. So it's an ink. So like I said, I just love using inks. So I love that you guys are using them.
Yeah, they can be some of the nicest things to use, and you can get just incredibly saturated colors, which is great for comic book work, because you really want those really punchy colors in there. Okay, I'm just gonna go with the Prussian blue here. It's gonna be fine. Yeah. It's kind of interesting. This is like Prussian blue ink, and we can see the Prussian blue paint right next to it. So this right here is Prussian blue paint, and then we have the Prussian blue ink. And you can see how much more like intense the vibrancy is there. And I was using the Prussian blue for my darkest parts, the really deep shadows on her. So it'll actually work really well. And then the first color, the kind of mid-tone is cobalt blue. All right. So we're adding a tiny bit of water to this, and then we want to control how much moisture is in the brush, because you can't see it. I'm kind of like controlling it by rolling the brush here, because the area is very small, and what we want to do is make it very transparent. I'm going to be pushing the ink away from so I start in the white area, and I push the ink away from the white area and get it to disappear down into that blue area.
Oh, okay.
See how we get like a really nice blending effect in addition to like that intense color?
Yeah. That's interesting, because I do it with like I usually use like a second clean brush, and I kind of like glaze over and then wick away from the whiter areas. But I like this, like starting there and pushing into the dark.
Yeah, I mean that method, the two brush method, also works really well.
I did two-brush dry brush or two-brush stippling. That was awesome.
Yeah, on
this month's video.
Yeah, we just released a video on how to do like flat black, as in like a black wool hat on a bust, And if you kind of think about it, it's like that's actually kind of like a difficult challenge, how to make it look like black, but like a flat black, because we're so used to doing like these really shiny blacks and everything.
Yeah.
And I used two brush stippling for part of that.
So you just made it a little bit more grayish, less contrasty?
Oh, actually, it's actually kind of a combination between these two things. We do what I would call a two brush stipple. So you accurately place your shadow, and then you stipple the edge of it with a dry brush.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you just kind of like mash a dry brush around the edge, and it'll stipple one edge of it. So it's kind of like blending it, but it doesn't take any blending skill. It's nice, and it kind of creates like a nice.
Oh no, it takes lots of skill.
Well, you still have to like accurately place the color, but
Yeah.
as far as like the blending part, really, it's very, very forgiving.
You were really good in the video too of like you would pick up some of that color and then just redeposit it right in another spot where you needed it, So it was like, but then it went on blotchy again. So it was like you pulled it off blotchy and put it back on blotchy, and it like it just, it went fast. It looked awesome. It looked like fun.
Yeah, it is fun, and then the secret to that one was actually a monument paint that we then glaze on, kind of like I'm glazing the blue on, called Carbon Black, and it looks really nice. And it also has like a nice finish to it that's like matches the finish of a flat black object, because the Carbon Black is like ultra matte, Anyway, turned out good. I could show everyone if they want to see what that hat looks like at some point.
I mean, I do.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah, I'll just show you real quick.
I was actually waiting for Anthony. I was actually waiting for Matt to be like, when you're like, "Oh, what? How did you do that slipping?" And Matt be like, "What? You subscribed to Miniature Monthly."
Yeah, so if you subscribe to Miniature Monthly, you can check out that video where we paint this hat on Mr. Napoleon here.
Yeah, that looks like an old, worn matte black hat. Like,
yep.
I feel the age of that hat.
Thanks, Dallas. I appreciate it. It was fun.
It looks rad.
I'm enjoying it. But yeah, and that one's like a nice one and done video, and you can learn some cool stuff. It's actually really applicable to a lot of different things, but it's one of those techniques that you'll see it and it's like, oh, you'll get it and you'll be like, man, I could use this for this, I could use it for that, so it's kind of nice.
I feel like it'd be one of those things like when you see it, you're like, it's so obvious, right?
Yeah, it's just like it just clicks for you. I like that. I like doing things like that.
Mad Detail setting people up for success.
Yeah, that's right. Oh. Yeah, actually, like this last year, a number of my private coaching students all went pro, and it was great. It was really cool to see them all succeeding and everything.
Like pros and like become professional full-time painters?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
They all graduated, I guess. So it's cool.
Baby bird flew. They don't need you anymore, Mom.
Yeah, but we all get to be, we're all friends, so it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sign of a good teacher, A good.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. It's like, I think that's like the best. It should feel good when it happens,
Yeah. Some people don't like it, but wait a second, you're getting better than me. I'm like, I hope my students get better than me.
Yeah. So you can kind of see that like I kind of like that. I think I might keep it there. So sometimes with blue, you can do it in like just one layer applied with a nice blend, and it's kind of like it's there, or it's like, at least as close as I wanted to get. But if I wanted to do more, I might have to like blend some white in and then do one more glaze. But I think that we're kind of as far as I want to go, and we'll do the same thing on the hair here. So we can kind of see on the hair, I've just glazed like one color, just burnt sienna on top, and then done this dark red brown, one of my favorite browns, but it's got a weird name. It's called imidazolone brown, but that's an incredible color, and that's the one we're going to glaze on top because it is quite transparent, kind of like an ink, although you can use it, to get good coverage in shadows as well. But first, we're gonna once again, and we'll also use a little bit of orange ink too. But once again, we're just gonna add some white highlights, so like kind of a shine to the hair like that. We want to do this first because remember we're going to glaze on top. And one rule that we know about like doing a glaze on top of things is that it will flatten our contrast. Our contrast will get flattened by that. So if you want to do a glaze, use this glaze that way. We know we need to have additional contrast in the value scale before we glaze on top. Otherwise, everything will get flattened out. And yeah, that's not good. So we can kind of do that by just adding some white, and while we're doing that, also picking out some details there.
Why does it flatten out the contrast, Matt?
Well, it's kind of like, a glaze on top, especially, I mean, like, I think the ink flattens it less, but it's kind of like only some of that information gets through so the layer, either with an ink, it will be like a filter. So it sort of filters things out. With a paint, it will actually like sort of fog things up. So like, anytime you put something in between, information, some of it's going to get lost is one way to think about it. Yeah. But the nice thing about ink is that it only gets rid of specific information, or it kind of flattens only the highlight part of the contrast. So ink is only going to affect your highlights, not your shadows. So it's kind of forgiving that way.
Yeah.
So we can kind of like put this white in, and then we know that whatever color our ink is going to be super saturated wherever we put white. So that's why we put the white in first. The nice thing is that the shadows are already kind of painted in there, and they're not going to get affected by the ink at all. And with white, sometimes we can come back through and actually do one more pass, just very specifically in a couple spots, because white's so weak. A second pass sometimes will give you more highlight, more effect. Let's just do that real quick, like that. Now I'll start with some orange ink.
Yeah, I like the orange before the red.
Yeah, you want to like start with your weaker color or your lighter color, usually orange, and then I'll maybe mix with the midazolan brown.
What do you like midazolan brown?
It is the richest, reddest brown I've been able to find, and I've only been able to find it within one color. Let's see if I'll show you to you on camera here.
I've been looking for a rich warm brown. Not something.
You like that brown right there?
Oh, that's nice. It almost looks like
It's a beautiful brown.
Yeah.
It's like a rich mahogany color. It's beautiful for doing that, like mahogany look. So, sometimes Jean Grey has some really intense hair color, which is great. But by having this sort of these brownish tones underneath, we're going to get that really bright hair color, but only where we placed white. Now, if it looks like it's overpowering things, you just have to spread it out more. So just spread it out, and you can always spread it down into shadows, and it will disappear.
Yeah, you're a bit off camera. You're a bit
sorry
low.
about that. Yeah, thanks. That's the problem here. You get zoomed in, and it's kind of like things can shift really easily, and then you're off camera.
What's the name of the brown again? Some Vault 613 is asking.
It's called a midazolan. It's IMIDAZOLONE. Imidazolone. It's by Holbein. And if I had access to chat, I'd just like, do a quick Google search and put it in there. But yeah.
I feel like it's a fancy cookie someone could give me at Christmas time.
Well, the thing is, like, you look at the word, and you're like, I can't pronounce that. So I sometimes like just call it the impronounceable brown or the like the.
That one color.
Yeah, which is.
Yeah. Oh, Vault is James. Cool. James Craig.
Oh, neat.
I'm going back on the chat. Oh, we missed a lot of stuff.
We missed a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We're batting 100,000.
Yeah, I gotta talk to you guys about how to like get the chat up on my screen because
I'm opening it. I have a separate window muted.
See, I have a separate window and I can see our stream and there's no chat next to it. I'm just like,
oh really? I don't know.
I don't know. So I'm sorry. I tried. I really did.
Let's see.
Anyway, we'll figure it out for next time.
We're getting a lot of love about Marvel Unlimited from Ben as well as Nick. Let's see what else. Yeah, so James is also agreeing with you, Matt, about the harder lines you put on any illustration of a person, the older, more masculine people perceive them. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean it's just kind of like it's not only just perception. That's like actually it's proven out by
there's
just
scientific
fact.
reasons for it or whatever.
Yeah, just by observation. But a lot of times, like for us, we're so used to. I think that a lot of people start painting only like male figures, and they're a little intimidated by female figures, and that's like the first thing you need to learn is like the shadows on the skin or just on the body itself. You just want to like have them be like one step lighter in value.
Yeah, I think it's actually easier painting women faces and bodies.
I don't. I can turn any woman figure into a dude so quick. Like I just I just go too sharp. Like immediately. Like I don't know. I like painting that way. So it is what it is. Who did really good female skin tones was you guys remember Marika Reimer?
Yeah.
Holy cow. Like I was looking at her stuff and she would go really to a really dark color, like her dark lining and stuff on a female face would be really dark, but somehow she would get that soft pasty glow to it at the same time. Like it was just amazing. Like look her up. If you don't know who she is, look up Marika Reimer, and her stuff is just so good. She did a lot of stuff for Dark Sword.
She's a fantastic painter.
Yeah, she's a good painter.
Yeah. I like her and Jen Haley, that era.
Her and Jen Haley were like duked it out for many years.
Yeah.
None of us had any chance at all.
Yeah, when she went into a crystal brush, but
But she was there for a while. She was the only one to win it twice. She would enter.
I don't know. Terry Bonamont won twice.
Yeah, but
I thought he was the first one to win twice.
No, she did it, and then she did it for the second time. The first year I went to Adepticon, which I don't know what year that was, but yeah. And she's like, I only go every other year because I don't want people to get tired of my work. So it's like always fresh. I was like, okay, well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, she was the person to compete against that for sure.
So yeah, on this bodysuit, we're not actually going to actually blackline it. Like we're going to do black lines in other areas. And I'm just going to use like the magenta from this glow, and that's going to become my shadow. And that's, if it was a male figure, I might actually do the black lines. Like on Wolverine, hit the yellow on him goes to black. But for Jean, I'm just going to have it be soft. Except in like the armpits. And it kind of makes sense because like a colored light will overpower yellow. Yellow is very weak. Whereas like a colored white shined on blue or whatever, it will probably just get dark. You know?
That dang blue every time.
Yep. I mean, people talk about yellow as a difficult color to paint, but actually blue, it can be problematic for sure. And if you're not aware of how strong it is, it can really mess things up. Now, if I really wanted this to show up like glowy, like reflective, you could put white underneath it and it would work. For example, I think I want this little gem on her like crown, or I don't know what you call that, circlet, to be glowing.
Or her, you mean her head, the head thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that's called.
It's a superhero costume.
So we're gonna paint that white. That. And then we'll just surround it with some magenta, maybe mixed a little bit of fluorescence in it. And the nice thing about the blue is that I don't even have to be that accurate because I know that if this paint touches the blue is just going to be like, nope, I'm going to bully you. Not going to do much. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera, but I will zoom in just for this final step.
Yeah, Matt, you have about like 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, I can get a lot done in that. I'll do some black lines.
He can pull out another miniature in 15.
Yeah.
For real, right?
Yeah, next we're gonna paint Colossus, and I got another Jean Grey right here.
No, you follow the Jean Greys, Matt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just trying to sabotage your class.
Matt's using it for his class.
Yeah. And actually, for these like glows, I'm actually just taking some titanium white, and we're doing like a line along the edge of this. It'll look nice and punchy.
James, what's a valuable, important lesson that Jen taught you? James was saying that Jen taught him some of the most important painting lessons he's ever learned.
I actually never took any lessons from Jen.
She didn't teach a lot, I don't think.
Yeah.
She was nice. She was really nice. Like I liked it a lot, but I never took any classes from her.
Yeah, when she taught classes, they were always like, it was at ReaperCon and a very, very small. Like, I don't think she was super people person, you know.
Yeah.
Her nerves would get to her.
Yeah.
But it was like, holy cow! If you were lucky enough to either be next to her as she was talking shop with somebody else, or she just happened to be talking shop with you, it was awesome.
I love these conversations about like people in the industry or people that were, these painters that have come and, moved on to new things or retired or just gotten, just stopped painting or whatever. And like, because I think a lot of times like newer painters don't know some of these like shoulders that we stand on, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Now I remember actually my very first painting competition, big painting competition I went to, was Golden Demon in 2002. I was like 18, a little bright, fresh-eyed boy, and I brought back a gold in category. But that was the year that Jen Haley won her first Slayer
That
Slayer
was
sword.
Chicago, right? Or was it
Chicago, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was kind of cool.
Pete Patron, giving us some love. He's saying, "Hey guys, getting to his bedtime. Awesome format on the stream today. I enjoy the theory talk and what you guys are working on and why. Really interested to see each of our processes. So, thanks.
Nice, thanks.
Yeah.
Don't go to bed yet. There's so much more to come.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Dallas is about to. Yeah. Oh man, I messed up.
Yeah, we're gonna have to listen to Dallas drone on and on about, oh, I make all these models and blah blah blah.
I'm so cool.
Yeah, I'm so cool. Look at me.
First off, I'm not.
Come on, you're cool, Dallas. You are. I know you're cool.
Super cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Dallas, I would tag you just so, not that you were going to be on the show, but just to hopefully maybe we get the word out further or whatever. And every single time Anthony would be like, "Oh my gosh, is Dallas going to be on?" Like, no, I'm sorry. No.
We
Yeah,
don't want to promise Anthony too much.
Yeah,
You know,
that was the
he
only
gets all
way we could get him
excited
to come
and-
on the show early on. You know, we're like, "Hey, Dallas is going to be here." Oh no, he couldn't make it today.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Anthony.
You said he'd be here, and then he wasn't here.
Get a hold of yourself, Anthony.
What I was going through the chat. There's actually someone made a really good point about the light stuff that you were talking about, Matt. If they were like, hey, like the light in Dallas's background, the source of the light is higher value than the light being
Than the
cast
colors
onto
of
the
it.
wall. So
Yep.
there you go.
It's a good rule to remember.
Yep. And
It's
then
always true.
yeah.
Well, it's also one of those things. The light in the background is very wet, orangey, or at least on my screen, it's very orangey yellow, and and it draws your attention, even though it's in the back of his room and he has a big old light shining on his forehead right up in front. My eyes continually get sucked back to that orangey light because I just like my eyes like the color. It's like, oh, what's that? What's that?
Yeah, it's the most saturated thing on the screen.
Yeah. Plus, Dallas is just hideous. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And it's high value, so it's like high saturation, high value.
Yeah.
Imagine what it'd be like if I stood next to it and it was reflecting off my nug.
Oh, jeez.
You're what?
My nug.
Oh, okay. I thought you said something else.
It's potato.
Yeah, my tater.
Back to the sausages, Anthony. Is
I need-
gotten hard yet, or like is it?
Yeah,
still...
don't get Anthony started on the sausages.
My
I
sausage.
didn't think I was going to be able to continue.
It takes at least an hour to get hard, so I don't know. It's just me though.
Oh, jeez.
It's me.
You want to get that checked out.
Yeah.
But okay, so James says he used to crash at Jen's place a few days each time during Chicago Games Day. Head out around Chicago with paints, and it was a combination of learning finer brush control, but mostly learning in color, saturation, and volume. So yeah, it's good stuff.
So was oh my gosh, I can't remember. Like, I'm blanking. Shoot. What is her name? Ann Forster. Did Ann live in Chicago back then too, James? Or was it just because I know they were like thick as thieves for a while, like
yeah.
And then I mean, probably 60% of the Reaper's paint line was inspired by Jen Haley. Because Ann and her were like best friends, and it was like, oh yeah, we need another shade of purple. You know what shades does Jen want? You know, they have like 54 desaturated shades of purple. You know, but they're all awesome. So.
Nick is saying Anthony's sitting sad on the stoop with his backpack waiting for Dallas. Nick, that was there's a lot of truth in that, but I'm just glad that Dallas is here and I don't have to be sad today. So.
Yeah, there's no need to be sad.
Yeah. And then Liz says, OMG, how do we get back to sausages?
I already know. I might have to sleep on the couch tonight. Like I'm probably gonna get an earful when I get. I can't believe you kept bringing that up. Actually, she's probably just like dead to it at this point. It's just like, oh my God.
It's just an eye roll at this point.
Yeah.
That just means you have to up the ante, Aaron.
Yeah.
If all you're getting is eye rolls, you gotta go a little harder.
She said,
the question, Aaron. The question, Aaron, is like when you're sitting there and you're watching a movie together. Do you ever just look over at her, like you're like in your mind, you're like, I just want to look at her because she's so beautiful. And you turn, you look at her, and she's just like looking at the ring on her finger with like just a blank stare, just like.
No, she has like a serial killer crazed look on her face. I'm like, whoa. Yeah, I always like bring it, and then she'll take it off to go to sleep. I guess there's stories on the internet of women who lose their wedding ring in the sheets or something, and I'll be like, oh, so you were not engaged tonight, huh? And then it's just I always give her a hard time. She likes going to the grocery store, and she just she's still in it's like the newlywed phase, right? She just walk around. Oh, I'm sorry. Did my ring hit you? As she's trying to grab an apple or something. It's like it is what it is. I like it though.
Nice.
That's the correct response.
Yeah.
All right, so Matt, you got about 5 minutes. So, is there anything else, any other wisdom you'd like to share with us on the stream about painting female figures?
Like that was like the main bit. Also, like with muscles, you always want to have like some connection between the volumes. It's very rare that like a line is gonna like cut through entirely. So, for example, here this highlight is like on her upper thigh. It goes like this, but then also there's like a little line that connects through there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like is really good because a lot of my other stuff is more about like painting faces, like female faces, and this model's face is so small, like we can't really do too much about that. But so a lot of times it just has to do with that contrast. I mean, one trick you can do is if your muscles are looking too, I don't know, like for lack of the better term, mannish or just like too aggressively highlighted and shadowed, is that you can do a thin glaze of like your first highlight color over top of it, and that will like sort of soften all your contrast, But you have to be really controlled with it because if it's kind of danger zone there a little bit. But if you're comfortable, like doing a thin glaze over and keeping it all like even, it is possible sort of to soften those deep shadows with a thin glaze of your first highlight color or even the midtone. So let's see if I can demonstrate that. First highlight color. So say this shadow right here, is quite aggressive, which I kind of like, but it's mostly just because of this. But we can do a thin.
You don't like it.
We can do a thin glaze over top of it like that, and sort of soften it out. So if things were too aggressive, we can push that up into over top of it, and it's still affecting the paint, right? We're not trying to get coverage so much. We're just trying to soften the effect.
Yeah. And I also think as you build up different like brush strokes and layers of paint, I think it adds some complexity to the underlying form and the muscles as well too, and I think it looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think that sort of subtlety argument is a good point because we can kind of see how like it just kind of softened over top of that, and it made the whole features look much more lithe and nice. And it also added more variety to the colors being used. So sometimes we just like start to work that into our process in general. So we might go really aggressive in one spot and then brush over top like that. Just soften.
So there's imperfections underneath, and tying it all together, like Anthony said, it adds interest, and that actually goes back to what Aaron said earlier too. Is like in the way I paint is like I don't like a solid base coat anymore. I kind of got away from solid base coats. It's like I want a rough base coat with a couple layers over top, and then those imperfections kind of build that visual interest and texture and like that dynamism that I can play with, right? Is that kind of what you're saying there too, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we get into we find different ways to add that subtlety and everything. Like I don't know about with these, like my whole like painting process is like designed to avoid base coats entirely. I don't use these.
Yeah,
But
yeah. It's a dirty word.
But I think that's what I'm saying is like it's we're doing the same thing just in two different directions, right? Philosophically.
Yeah. I think that we are doing the same thing. It's just in two different ways. There's no right way to paint. Like there's no dirty words here like at all. It's just we're achieving subtlety in a couple different ways. Yeah. I like that. I see what you're. So, like when you're doing a base coat, are you like the first layer, where you're getting partial coverage? Are you leaving some areas that color, and then is that what you're talking about, or?
Like
yeah, like whenever
get it blotchy or right, like
yeah,
right.
Like the first layer is a little blotchy, and then you glaze a layer, and then you do another layer, and that blotchiness kind of bleeds through, and like especially on like terrain, like I go or like a cape or like a skin, like if I'm painting abomination, which I'll show this. I'm working on abomination right now as well. Is like I let that base layer be blotchy, and then I come through and I accentuate the blotchiness with a highlighter shadow to show that texture and that life.
And sometimes you kind of want like that inconsistent, like some natural variation, so it doesn't look manufacturers. Yeah, that's really nice. All right. Well, Matt, we are just about at time.
I'm basically done with this figure, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Another one bites the dust.
Just put another Jean Grey out.
I love how you did the lighting effect on there. It looks almost like a sword blade type of highlight or something, but with the electricity or whatever.
Yeah, I think that there almost feels like there's psychic, like sort of waves, like psychic blades made out. So that's what I was going for. So yeah,
it's just different because a lot of times people do it like brighter in the middle or brighter in the outside edges or whatever, but it's definitely darker, like purplish to a lighter color. Yeah, it's definitely cool.
Cool. I'm glad. Hope you guys enjoyed that little bit, and also like how Jean Grey's looking. I'm actually really pretty excited about her. There's definitely a little bit more work to do on the back, but yeah,
she's looking really sweet, man.
Not bad for a couple hours.
All right. Yeah. Well, now I guess it's the part of the show, the dreaded.
Yeah, that we've all been dreading with the Dallas. Dallas Q&A.
Why don't we just call it? I mean, I kind of want to go to bed early, anyways, Anthony.
No, don't. You're gonna make Anthony cry.
I'm already crying inside at the thought of going to bed early without hearing.
I feel so bad. Like I feel so bad because like I've been messaging Ross and I was just like, man, I can really just mess with Anthony right now. Now I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I like
Hey,
now
there's
I feel it.
Aaron mentioned that there's no crying on the stream.
Yeah.
This is a rule, so you can't make me cry. Okay.
Well, I'm worried about you crying off
That'd
the
be
stream.
cool.
Like
there
when it's
might be-
over.
There might be some crying after this first question because Dallas, this is the big one. Okay, who out of the three of us is your favorite painter? Pick me.
Painter
Yes.
or person? Because it's not the same.
Jeez, we're gonna the
It's
truth's
like
gonna come out
and then
here.
it got super awkward, and
We all looked at each other trying to figure out which one.
where's my PayPal app? We'll send him money real quick.
Hey, hang on. Did Tony already message you, Aaron? Like, I gotta make sure that contract signed first
Wait,
before I answer that
oh,
question.
Shoot, did I get the contract?
All right. So Dallas is gonna talk about three things in this section. He's gonna
whatever you
give
want.
us he's gonna talk a bit about what the heck we're doing at Adepticon first, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know. Like Aaron and Matt, we have like no idea really. We're just gonna
It's kind of a
maybe
mystery
show up with
still.
some figures.
I mean, you're painting it. So we are planning we're gonna have a fun game. We're not gonna do a serious game. None of us are like serious hardcore tournament players. We're gonna have a fun narrative thing. I got Will Pagani is working on a concept
Nice.
of a little story-like adventure for you all to participate in.
Oh.
And although you are competing, not competing, you are fighting against my forces, I'm going to throw some curveballs your way. And things might not be exactly as you think they are throughout the game.
Oh.
Plot
I
twist.
like this,
That's
yeah.
when Dallas shows up with a bunch of Legion figures or something. And he's like, "It's a mashup. It's two different games." Like, wait, what? I don't understand. Like, I could see Shatterpoint in the MCP, but not Legion. Like,
Poor Aaron's gonna be so confused.
Hey, I've got a private coach who's teaching me the ropes, man. We're taking this.
He's serious, man.
I know you're
Aaron's gonna
taking it, and that's good because you're gonna want to know the basic rules of the game because I'm gonna throw them out the window.
Good. Yeah, the one
So
thing
Matt, no need to learn the game then, right?
Yes. I'm like, yes.
The best part, so Pagani will actually be joining me. He's going to be at my side. So I'm going to have a developer. I'm going to have the developer at my side. And like whenever I have an idea, I'm going to be like,
so he can.
And he's
he can
gonna be
just
like,
change
do it
the
like
rules
this.
as you go.
He's-
Do I hit on
yes.
4s or 3s? 3s.
yeah. Okay, well, there's no numbers on MCP, so
That's
you haven't
true.
been training too much.
Yeah, you hit on everything, including the blank side die. Like it's just
Yeah.
Okay, so you just hit no matter what. I mean, so
Well-
you said you got 4 figures that we don't know
I
who
have
they
4.
are. And
I
you're
have
You
4.
fighting
only have 4
30.
figures in your
You
team?
have 30 on our side.
I have 4.
4.
I have 4.
Oh my gosh.
I'll tell you this. I have a 3-pointer, a 4-pointer, and a 5-pointer, and then mystery.
Is there are they all already released figures? Can you say?
They are all already released characters.
Characters. Okay.
So it'll be
Character.
watch. The joke will be on us because Dallas will come out with his 4 figures. We'll have 30, and we'll literally smoke him in the first turn. Like all of them are dead, and he's like, "Game's over."
Great lunch time, boys.
That's it. Dallas is like, I wanted this hour off. Like, what are you talking about? How
10
long do we
minutes.
have to play? Like, I know that it's a pretty tight schedule there at the booth. Like, do we got 2 hours or is it?
I think we're allotted 2 hours for the
Okay.
game. So,
Okay. Cool.
and it's going to be streamed. I think through Professional Casual Network.
Okay.
So they'll be streaming the game for us. Everybody it's 2 hours. It's 2 hours. Ross just confirmed for me. It's 2 hours. So,
Yeah.
so
All right.
And everybody's we're gonna have a really good time. It's gonna be on Friday, I believe, 1 to 3 or 2 to 4.
2 to 4.
Ross can confirm.
It was
Friday,
definitely 2 to
4.
4 because remember I had to
2 to
change one
4.
of my classes.
Oh, that's right. We had to change your classes. I worked really hard to make y'all's classes like, oh my god, I worked so hard to make sure y'all's classes.
I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say you worked really hard to find a time that Aaron couldn't play, so
yeah,
good.
yeah. All right. Which time? Okay, we'll pick that time.
Oh, sorry, Aaron. We couldn't find another time slot.
I
But I'm
appreciate
super
that.
excited.
I was so scared to contact Charity about that. And like you guys did it for me, and she said you guys were really nice too. She's like, I did it because it was you guys, but you know, nobody else gets that.
Charity was super nice to work with, and like make sure that we were able to play our game.
Really great.
And Adepticon was super into like making sure we're able to do it and make sure you guys were able to participate. The game's gonna be really fun. Pagani came up to me yesterday and was just like I got some ideas. I'm like, I got some ideas. So we're gonna get together soon and we're gonna start beating them into the structure of the game and get some really fun, flavorful. It's gonna be very loose. You know, you don't have to be super hardcore about it. We're gonna have a lot of fun and we're gonna tell a story.
Okay.
Cool.
And I have 4
That sounds
characters.
awesome.
I have 4 miniatures.
This is just a guess, okay? Is it an underwater theme?
Oh, you have to put on a scuba suit.
What if we all played like in a spa? They're gonna bring a spa into Adepticon, and we have to take our beautiful figures into the water.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Top Secret with Val Kilmer?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh.
I
One
love
of
that
the best
movie.
movies ever made.
Obscure. It was great.
And they have the underwater bar fight.
Yeah. Oh,
That's what we're doing. We're doing an underwater game of MCP.
that
We got
would be
the
super rad. Yeah, like my figure keeps floating away. I don't know where I was.
That movie is incredible. If anybody out there has not seen that movie,
It was
they
such a
should
good
should
movie.
watch it. They do this bit where they've disguised themselves as a cow
Yes.
in that movie, and but in order for you to know that it's them, they have these gigantic boots on the cow.
Yeah, of course.
But the best part is that all the shots of it, they literally put boots on a cow. It's running around, and it is hilarious.
You remember
It's
when
like
they go to
a
the pizza
literal
joint
cow.
and it's literally just cheese everywhere. Like everyone starts picking their pieces of cheese up, and it's like a giant spider web of cheese inside the pizza joint. Oh, that was such a good movie.
And is that sort of genre of movie that they don't make anymore? It's like in the same vein as like The Naked Gun, for
Yeah.
example.
Oh.
You know?
Airplane.
And
Yeah, same
yeah,
exact.
Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yeah.
yeah.
It
So
was the movie
it's
that, like,
pretty
spawned
funny.
all that. Or one
And
of
it's
the
like a
movies.
super young Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had no idea. That's cool.
He
I'll
was
check
such
it
a
out.
tough guy. And then he stops the motorcycle and her hair is just plastered back. That was
Yeah,
super good. All
it's a
right.
good movie.
All right. So the next Dallas, anything else you want to say about the game or what we're gonna do?
No, I think that's currently it. We might. I got to talk to Ross. We got to figure out the plan. We might start showing the miniatures I've converted for the game.
Oh, okay,
So,
sweet.
Cool.
I know.
Is that
Any good sausage work you have on your conversions or no?
No, I can bring mine though. So
We can.
Somebody else can.
Anthony,
We're all
do-
trying not to say
do-
sausage right now, so that
Well, during
Aaron
the game,
doesn't
we'll have like little breaks where Anthony will do sausage demonstrations.
Well, Dallas, I know you're gonna have some and a preview of some figures for Adepticon. Is that right today? Is that the converted stuff that you're talking about, or is that something else?
Wait, what's the question?
You said like you had Ross said that you were gonna give you a preview of some new releases tonight. Is that true?
Well, I'm painting on Elsa Bloodstone right now. Let me
Okay.
move my light.
Yeah.
Let me move my light. There we
It
go.
was just black.
That just made it worse.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm not set up for this at all. So I'm painting on Alpha Plus, and she's almost done.
Cool.
Nice. Cool.
Nice.
She got a Winchester shotgun or something.
She's got double monster hunting rifles. They got little
Nice.
mystic spheres that have like mystic monster hunting ammunition in there.
Cool.
She's very cool. I'm getting ready to start our boy Mary Poppins.
Oh yeah, awesome.
That guy you just posted pictures of on
That
on the
character
site.
always makes me think of you, Dallas. I don't know why.
This one?
Yep.
Zandu?
That character, yeah, Zandu. I don't know what it is, and like I always think of.
Is it the
always think of Dallas.
voice?
Merle?
It might be partly the voice, but also just he's got that big personality. You know what I mean?
Someday I'll just be like, boy. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter
maybe
who
he
your
is the
daddy
voice.
It doesn't matter who your daddy is. I'll always be your pop, or whatever his line is.
Yeah.
We got Nova,
Oh yeah, that one's super cool.
Nova. Yeah, he's cool.
Sweet.
and then I'm doing a little conversion on Man Thing. He's
Okay.
typically holding a pillar.
Yeah.
And I went ahead and removed the pillar just to try something. So I'm resculpting the arm to like just kind of have him like walking about.
Yeah, he looks cool. He has more like a hulking look with,
It's like that.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't going to do this, but we've been talking about Anthony. Oh, you know what? I got one more thing. One more thing first. We started this on stream, so I'm working on.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
That one was super rad. Yep. I got that one for Christmas.
I love what you did. That the base and everything. Looks awesome.
Like that motion is crazy. It looks like a little sandstorm. How'd you make it? It's
So
cool.
are you gonna if you enter that in a contest, you should just leave Spider-Man kind of wonky like that. So it's like, yeah, he's just
warbling.
jiggling. He's just jiggling.
Commit to jiggling.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. It's my art.
So last year I did the Spider-Man versus Green Goblin as so we've been doing like gallery pieces where like Ben, Elizabeth, and I did a piece for the Worthy.
Yeah, that was
because
cool.
of course the Worthy's coming up, the painting competition. Everybody should be entering. I love talking about the Worthy. And it really got me thinking about the 360ness and like a lot of the other entries that were entered into the Worthy last year, like Jonathan Ho, who won. I really got thinking about the 360ness of the miniatures that we do, like the hobby we do, and the format we paint in, the format we choose to express art is 360. And there's such a prevalence of like the backdrop, right? And the forced viewing angle, which is fine. I have no problem with that, but it got me thinking about like that 360ness. And last year with the Spider-Man, I wanted to like invite people to turn it around when they were holding it, even though it was a backdrop.
Is it the one with like the panels, like the
comic panels? Yeah, that was mine. This one is like that same thing. I purposely got Spider-Man's back to you when you're looking at Sandman, and I put it on the round plinth and all the sand runs around it because I want you to turn around, because I want to like celebrate that 360 nature of our art form that is so unique to what we do that other art forms don't have, right?
Yeah.
Is that physical form of the full body, right? I think it's fascinating. So this was made out of this is all like Abe's epoxy sculpt, and then I just used earth effects, like with
blobbed the earth effects onto
and I got it up on him, so it's like splashing across his body, creating more dynamic. What I can't do in the hard plastic, I can do in earth effects.
Yeah, how did you make it so wispy though?
It's just I let it build up. With a paintbrush, like that's all earth effects. That whole like little bit right there. That's all earth effects. I just let it build up over like 3 applications of it. Like, so I let it dry, added the next effect, let it dry, added the next effect.
I love
Gotcha.
that
I
look
think
of
that
that.
I love what you're saying about the 360 effect of miniatures and everything. Like I really feel that when I look at all the MCP stuff, like it really feels like it looks great from all these different angles, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like different than a lot of stuff out there, which looks great from like one angle, and then you might do a few things to make it have little Easter eggs or something like that. But like this, it just like like this Jean Grey model, for example, it feels like there's like infinite like viewing angles.
Viewing
And it just
angles,
looks
yeah.
just yeah yeah. It looks great from just every angle.
And
So
I
I
mean,
know a lot of care goes into that. When you guys are creating a figure, like yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
yeah, and you know how much I appreciate that coming from you. Like we've known each other and worked with each other for a long time. Like, and I just appreciate it because it's in the design phase and it's not easy. And like it's not all we don't hit it 100% every time, right? That's impossible. That's an impossible number.
Yeah.
But the goal is 100%, and then we accept the ones that we don't quite nail. But when we were designing the miniature, we start with I know this was one of the questions, so we can just roll it all together. And I think this is something that Aaron's actually asked me in the past. When we're designing the characters, like we start out with a schedule, and Schick will write the schedule. Schick is the I don't know his title. It's really long. It's like vice president of product design and development, and I don't know, something like that. But Schick writes the schedule, and then like I reach out to him like as the creative director, and I'm like, so Jean Grey, like obviously we're doing the 90s Jean Grey because like we kind of like lean into the 90s.
It's so good. I'm so glad you guys did that, by the way. Yeah.
It's the heart of all comic nerds, right?
Totally.
But like when we go to like do Elsa Bloodstone or somebody or like Abomination, I usually go through and I start looking at all the different iterations, and then I pitch it to a group, and I'm like, what do y'all think? And then we start tearing it apart, like with like, well, can we, maybe a little bit of this and a little bit of this, like a little bit of this, and then we start thinking about the poses. And I have two art directors, I have a concept artist, I have Tony and me, and and then I work closely with our engineers, which I think is like sort of the big help is our engineer and sculpting team. We have a big team of engineers who are all artists themselves, and very talented themselves. Marco, Evan, Kevin, Alex, all these dudes. And I will draw some poses. We'll draw like 4, 5, 6 poses. And then I get engineering to like look at them with us. And I'm like, what do y'all think of this? Can I do this? Can I push this? And they'll be like, that's a scary part. What can you do? And then they'll be like, think about that from the other side, because they're very 3D because they're sculptors, right? They're the actual, the people working in 3 dimensions. So I work very closely with them to make sure that we're nailing that silhouette, because I think silhouette is so important, right? It's like like fighting games, right? When you play Marvel versus Capcom, you don't need to see the full color character. You can see a black outline and it's Wolverine. And that's our goal as well, right? Is like the silhouette needs to read. I need to see every element of the character. I need to know what their emotion is. I need to know where their body lies, and make sure that we're doing something cool and dynamic with it. So that's where the philosophy starts, is at the very beginning for the miniature painter like you guys.
Well, I gotta say it shows, and I know how it's not easy to do that. And you guys have I think you have a really good like hit rate as far as like. I mean, I've loved every single one of these models I painted, honestly. So.
I mean, I love them all. I know, like, like I love them all, and like we try stuff. Like that's the big thing is like we try stuff. We do some pretty bold things, I think, for miniatures because we want to push what miniatures are. We love our special effects. Everybody knows we love our special effects. We love big dynamic. Like my thing I always tell them is like we should be like think about the coolest statues out there. Like we should be making miniatures that rival that, right? Like that's
Yeah.
like
There are those very heroic poses, and what I love is that, and I don't know if you think about this when you design the characters, but they're very interpretable. Like I can paint it, Matt can paint it, Aaron can paint it, you can paint it, whoever else, like, and then they can look totally different, especially even faces and stuff like that. It's pretty impressive. That's what I love about painting. There's like infinite possibilities. I love it.
Like I was always afraid, like, people would be like too scared, right? Like Jean Grey, right? Like Jean Grey is a good example. Like we know that Jean Grey. We know that Jean Grey from Jim Lee, right? That's Jim Lee's Jean Grey. But the reality is like your interpretation and Matt's interpretation is going to be different. And then I'm going to paint it in white and black, right? Or maybe I'm going to try some weird flip-flop colors, or maybe I really like to take Jean Grey. I'm a very narrative player, right? So like I take things that I love, not necessarily things that are like canonically connected, because it's the joy of MCP is like it's its own little realm, right? Like Jean Grey can team up with Apocalypse, right? And it's like that's so maybe I do Apocalypse Jean Grey, right? Maybe she's more blues and grays, right? With different color glow, right? And I think that it allows people to like get in there and just have that storytelling aspect that we all want to do. We all want to tell stories with our miniatures.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, we get lost in this little fantasy worlds, and
yeah. These are my favorite figures to paint, right now. So it's
my favorite. I think so. I think that they're my favorite of this scale. I really like it.
Yes, because
Of this scale.
That scale is very purposeful. Like that.
Yeah.
Like my goal has always been like an AMG's goal. Like when we first started, and we're 6 years old. Like, is that crazy? Like we're 6 years old. We turned 6 on January 2nd. The goal from the start was always like the end user, right? The artists, the hobbyists, the gamers, the people in the community that love these miniatures. Like, how do we make things for them to get the most success, right? And like, Marvel Designs help that as well, right? Obviously, but like having open space for the painter to express themselves with freehand, like Anthony, right? Having those cool special effects so Aaron can just punch up the vibrancy in those places that he is so want to do, right? Like he's just so good. And to be able to tell stories like Matt wants to tell, right? Like it just allows everybody to express themselves in different ways. And I think that the Marvel characters and the Marvel designs, but then through our filter is to make the miniature, make sure we maintain that for everybody.
Yeah, totally.
Y'all gonna make me cry. I'm gonna get all emotional about this because I love miniatures so much.
Well, and you got that, but then the game's actually really fun. I work for a lot of different companies, and I'll tell you, I don't like all the games. Like it, and people will always ask you, "Oh, do you play that one?" And you're like, "No."
It's a rare feat if you can make losing fun.
Yeah.
And losing should be fun, because that's the kind of gamer I am, right? If I'm playing against Anthony, if I go play against Anthony, my goal is the object is to win the game, but my goal is to make sure Anthony has an awesome time and I have an awesome time, and that my Wolverine berserks into your Wolverine and takes him out, and I'm the only Wolverine. But then Anthony swings back, right, and like blows me out, and I'm just like, no, and like that's the most important part. Like, is that I want to make sure you're having fun. I want to make sure I'm having fun. Yeah. And I don't care who wins. I want to tell a cool story, and I want to have high adventure, right?
Right. And I think for those who haven't played MCP, they built a really clever mechanic, right? The more damage a character takes, the more they get powered up.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
it's
the
like with
baddest
fighting
part.
games.
You just get your
And
butt kicked and boom.
yeah, and then it makes it very dynamic, you know, the game, and it also creates a storytelling aspect, right, Dallas? You know, it's like, and it makes everything. It builds up the intensity of like of the game in certain moments, you know, and it's really great. Yeah.
It's kind of like Spider-Man, right? It's like, when is Spider-Man the best Spider-Man?
Mm-hmm.
When his back is against the wall
Mm-hmm.
and he's taking a beating, right? When is Captain America like the most Captain America, right? When he's standing up, right? When he's been beaten down and he's standing up, like, you know. When is Wolverine the coolest? When he got just obliterated and that healing factor kicks in,
Yep.
and he stitches himself back up and he gets back up and the claws pop and he's like, "That's it, bub." You know, that
Mess with the wrong guy.
you mess with the wrong guy, like. And so like the Crisis Protocol mechanic allows those moments to like, and it represents that, like, the characters just taking that beating and just being like, now they're the best versions of themselves. Now they're coming back and they're rolling those big 9 dice attacks or 7 dice attacks and like doing the cool superpowers, or Magneto's throwing 8 pieces of terrain or whatever, right? Like, because Magneto's not gonna
Being
start
able to
like
throw
that.
a gas station is pretty cool too. Like, it's funny. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that. Oh no, I think I need to do that because I'm getting my butt kicked right now. So I'm gonna throw this gas station and then I'm gonna power up because I got all these power points and things happen. But
Well, and that's another interesting point. Like, I've been playing miniature games since the late 80s, and for me, the terrain is a character in the game, just like Nova, just like, anybody else, right? It's like that gas station is a character, just like Hulk, just like Ghost Rider,
yeah,
just like Magic, right? Like, and I think that's the fun thing that we were able to do with Marvel Crisis Protocol, is to bring that character of the terrain more to the forefront. Because without terrain, like, that's the other, like, the 360ness, right? The 360ness of miniatures is unique to our art form. And then the thing that's unique to miniature gaming is terrain, right? And so I think that that terrain is so important and so characterful and so impactful, that I love seeing that we can throw a gas station, we can throw a car, right? But like, and just seeing people like convert their like, I've been converting my terrain and like adding new stuff to it, or like putting it on like little plastic card disc to like have more decorations around it and stuff like that. Like, it sets the table, it sets the scene, it's like the place, it's the storybook for the characters to engage in their narrative. And I love that so much. It's so unique to what we do, right? Like,
yeah. I wouldn't be sad if there was more terrain released as well too, to build like a cityscape. Just saying. You don't have to answer the question, but
I mean, we definitely are always looking at more at what else, right? We always have our eyes on the future, and we work way far in advance. Like, I'm working on stuff like 2-3 years out, right? Like myself, like that's where I live. So when somebody goes, "Is Elsa Bloodstone released?" I'm like, I was like, I don't know. Like,
isn't that like a year ago, or is it next
actually
year?
don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea when she releases. But like, we've gotten the Wakanda train, we got like the space train, we did the Asgard train, and I think that Asgard train is just,
which was probably the best terrain you guys have. Like, whoever painted that was amazing. I don't know, but
I mean, just the mystery painter. We call him the mystery painter. And just did a phenomenal job. That Apocalypse train is so sexy, and oh my gosh, it has like an ultimate counter that comes with it, and like, you set it up and you play Apocalypse and the Horsemen, and you got to go around and you got to collect the little doodads, the MacGuffins before Apocalypse does it. But you're actually trying to prevent Apocalypse from coming out more powerful. Like that's how that scenario plays out. It's like the crisis team is just like, we gotta make sure he's not too powerful. So when he pops out, it's like how bad you did is how powerful he is. So it's a really fun play mechanic. And Apocalypse is just rad.
Yeah. Oh, it's a cool model. It is. Yeah, it's sick.
Mm.
I got
We
that for
are.
Christmas too.
So yeah, Striker is saying that he picked up Dracula's Tomb because it's awesome and needs to finish making a full table for it. So yeah, I think I don't know. I think definitely terrain is an area of potential expansion. I guess.
And it's different terrain because you got grimdark, right? You got fantasy stuff, which is hills and trees and all that stuff. And this is like
modernish.
I especially like when people put together like the prototypical like 1950s, 1960s town, and it's got that old style feel and everything. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I like mixing this stuff. A lot of times like I take a section of the board and I'll put like my apartment building and my cars and my dumpsters. But then like in another section I put a bunch of space stuff, right? Because narratively I can be like, the invasion has happened, right? Like the Qatari have come from the space and a bunch of like Qatari objects have fallen into place around the city. And now I'm telling the story, right? Like, so mixing and matching is totally good. The Tomb of Dracula terrain is just one of my favorite things we've ever got to design. And it came from like a little sketch I did, like a little real crappy little doodle. And I was like, what do you think? And everyone's like, how big is that? And I'm like, real big, But I think I might do a hobby blog about taking an additional one of those and like using the wall parts to make scatter terrain, but also have a conversion idea for the castle to make a new castle for myself that's like pretty extravagant. So converting terrain is like super interesting to me. Like I did the waterfall for Wakanda, and I did the Asgard temple where I chopped it up and I made a new Asgard temple out of the Asgard temple. So like there's so many conversion possibilities just in terrain to tell more narrative stories and more stories.
Super cool. Looking forward to that article. So we're at time now.
2027.
Sweet. Yeah? Don't make me wait that long, Dennis. No.
Sorry.
But yeah, we're at time, and we have a whole bunch more questions that we couldn't get to, Dallas. So I guess that means you have to come back and answer.
Do you have any good questions? Is there any one question?
One more question. Let's see.
What's your team again for the big Adepticon show?
Okay, how about this one question?
His head was down, wasn't it? He didn't see it.
Wait, what? What is that? Oh, is that Phoenix?
Nice.
Sick. Dark Phoenix. Need some of that in my life.
Pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
You just need more Jean Grey.
Hey, different flavors of Jean Grey. Dark Jean Grey, whatever. A pop Jean Grey. So, how about this? Okay, here's a good question. What was your favorite miniature to paint from the 2024 releases? So last year.
I actually had to think about it. I'm like, because
what did I paint?
so. Well, because I'm painting Elsa Bloodstone with his 2025 release. I'm just like, hang on, I gotta remember what was the 24 release I painted. I don't typically answer favorites because I don't like playing favorites. That's why all three of you are my favorites, persons and paintings. But I really got a kick out of painting. I think I just really got a kick out of painting Apocalypse even though my normal apocalypse isn't done, my converted apocalypse is done. Um, I just really love that character so much. Like I like as soon as we were just like we're making a Marvel game, I'm like apocalypse. Like it was like magic and apocalypse, like those sentinels. Like so, I think maybe apocalypse.
Yeah, when you guys revealed that at Adepticon, that was like super cool. Yeah, I was really looking forward to it. So, Matt,
And
were
I'm
you
a
gonna
little behind. I'm a little
I
behind.
just
Like
said
I want
nice,
to.
yeah. Apocalypse is awesome.
Have you painted one yet, Matt?
No, I haven't painted one yet, but it'd be fun. Maybe on a
That'd be
future
cool.
stream if you guys want to send me one. I'm gonna do a Colossus next. I really want to do that one and do the
Ross, send
Ragnarok
all three
levels.
of them apocalypses, and we'll have an apocalypse off.
Oh man, it'll be
But we all
apocalypse.
have to
Fucking-
convert it
Yeah.
somehow.
Well, we've already been talking about continuing this show on out like after Adepticon because we've had a lot of fun.
No, it's super fun.
So who knows? Maybe we can do some other special projects, or maybe even do like it'd be super cool. Like we're doing our armies here, but what would be really cool is do some like a display piece. Where each of us do a display piece and and just go in different directions. Of course, it'd probably be boring if we all did the same figure. Right?
Well, you got to plan it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the one thing that's really cool about the MCP figures is it just feels like it's very easy to make a battle between a couple, 2 or 3. Like last year, who would have known that Kraven would be fighting Spider-Man in half of your dioramas? Like,
well, that's the crazy thing about
nobody talked to each other. Like they all did the same diorama.
The Worthy was like, and I'm so excited for the Worthy in 2025 because I think our first 2 years coming back from COVID, like we're we're new, we're a new miniature painting, and we're doing the open format judging, right? So like if you deserve a bronze, you get bronze. If you deserve a silver, you get silver. There's no first, second, and third. I want to reward people on their growth, their journey. I want to reward people for what they want to do because I had a lot of people come up last year and I'm like, what's your goal? Like what is the destiny of this miniature? And they're like, I just want to be a good tabletop painter. And I'm like, this is the perfect place. Enter it in, see where you stand, and then come talk to judges. And then of course, like at Adepticon, right? There's all these people that, you three, so many artists sitting over in Fort Wapple that they can go talk to. And the judges can be just like, okay, so your goal is to be a high-end tabletop painter. This is what you need to do. And you can get that open feedback because we sat there all day Sunday giving open feedback to everybody who wants it, right? Because I want to make sure you succeed on your path, right? Like I want, but you have to choose your path. Like some people want to be the greatest miniature painter in the world. They want to go down the history books. But a lot of people like me, I just want to be able to paint miniatures.
Yeah,
Cool, right?
Toys. Yeah.
I just want to paint my toys. I want to paint my toys. I want to show off sometimes, but a lot of people just want to be like, well, I want to be a commission painter. How do I be a commission painter? And I'm like, okay, this is how you become a commission painter, right? This right here, that's not going to get you anywhere. You need to focus on that area, and then of course the other philosophical parts of it. But I want to provide that space for people to like bring their goal to us and have a group of people help them achieve their goals. And so the Worthy is really set up for that, right? We should be advancing each other and lifting each other up.
Yeah. And I really people's imagination is going bonkers I saw it between the first year and the second year. It was like the dioramas like amped up, like on crack. Like
so many dioramas.
And even some of the single figs are just like so imaginative.
Yeah, it's like a lizard like flying with like water stuff, right? Like I remember that stood out. That was cool.
Just like amazing. And dude, people like are getting after it. Like I have several of my private coaching students alone, and then other friends that are just like they take it very seriously. Like it's a big deal,
One of my favorite pieces was such a narrative piece, and the fella converted a Captain America. He put the shield on the back, right?
Mhm.
And he made like a little interior of a jet with the doors open. And it was that moment where Captain America is getting ready to jump out the jet with no parachute.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was one of those pieces where you have to like pick it up. You got to look at it from all these different angles. It's not about looking at Captain America's face, right? It's once again going to that 360ness of storytelling that we can do that other formats can't do. And just looking at that shot through the back and just seeing the red lights from the jet shining on that shield, like I got goosebumps like looking at it. Like I was just like, Captain America's he's gonna beat them all. He's gonna win the day. Felt so good.
Yeah.
Do you remember Vincent's beach party cabal?
Yeah.
That was I love that. Like super soakers. Yeah, it's super I love, just the creativity that went to that.
It's so different, right? It's so different. And I think that's what Crisis Protocol allows people.
Yeah. Beach Ultron with the swim shorts.
Beach Ultron.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah.
Very cool.
Oh, I'm actually reading the things too, so I can read these. Oh, there's a lot of comments that I missed.
Yeah. Striker saying he did the same thing, just enter something and did better than he thought he did, and kept on the
Yeah, I remember. I met Striker Seeker. Had a cool jacket, and was super excited to hang out and just learn where they stood in miniature painting, and hopefully we help on their path and what they want to achieve, like, because that's the goal. I just want to see everybody achieve what they set out to achieve, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really. I love the format of the contest because it is designed that way to, reward things that are worthy, and also encourage everybody to grow to the next, so that wherever that next level is for them, that's what a contest should do. It should reward the hard work that you put in, but also challenge you to take the next step, whatever that might be, and be open to everybody. I think that's really cool. So
yeah,
I like the way you've designed things. It's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, Matt, we've judged together. I'm not one to give out. I don't give things out easily. And Aaron, we've judged together. I'm a tyrant. I am a stickler, but the goal is to help you grow, right? It's and not just pulling back to pull back. It's to push you forward, right? It's always to push you forward.
Well, you don't want to give somebody a word that isn't really deserved, because that's not actually going to help them in the long term. But that's why I always liked about judging these contests is seeing those people who come back the next year and watching their growth and being able to be like, yeah, you made it. Like, let's talk about what's next. It's always been really great. So.
Yeah, I remember getting my teeth kicked in for years and years and years, and it is what it is. It's like, are you going to give up, or are you just going to keep going? And at the end of the day, you always come home with a really good miniature. Whether you won or lost.
That's true.
All those years trying to get a golden demon and going home with loser every year, but I always went home with cool figures. Like I'd look at it and I'm like, you know what? Actually, that's pretty cool. Like, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad that's in my collection now.
I think the Worthy is different than Golden Demon because, Golden Demon, because of the way they judge things, and they've gotten better with all their committed stuff and all that. But, I think that it's a lot more encouraging, honestly, the way that it's designed and it shows. So, anyways.
Very cool.
Just want everybody to be happy and succeed, man.
And and you get much more personalized critique and feedback, as well, I think.
And the feedback is such a vital thing. Like I would
Yeah.
not be. I mean, I am what I am because of feedback, and I think we can all agree to that for ourselves,
Agree.
right? Like it's the feedback that made us, and the desire to take that feedback and listen to it, and like, and sometimes it's not listening to it verbatim, but like reading between the lines and being like, okay, I hear what they said, I understand why they said it, but for me, I have to adjust it and move it this way. So it's like taking it into account, but manipulating it into your own process or your own thoughts, and then pushing through and developing it in your way. But that feedback is what that catalyst to make you think that way, right? And so it's super important.
And then also you meet other painters there. Like I can't tell you how many of my friends I met in a line at, Golden Demons or, Crystal Brush or something, turn my models in, and then you meet a new person, you have, their stuff is cool, your stuff was cool, you start talking, and all of a sudden you got a new painting buddy, And I think that's important too, like doing paint nights and stuff like this. Just sort of meeting fellowship with the painters, you can't get that painting by yourself, it's just different.
I mean, I might have met my partner through a hobby chat. Like, it's and definitely Adepticon, like the social aspect of Adepticon and the open and willingness of all these really talented artists, painters, hobbyists, whatever word you want to use for them, right? All coming together and converging in that one space and just being so open about their techniques and their ideas, even if they're not teaching a class, right? Like, I mean, I just walked through one time and like, it was like, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night, Carol Kanev is sitting there painting with everybody and just showing some technique. And I was just like, you don't even have to pay for that. Like, like that's just hanging out in the lobby, like, and happening. It's amazing. Look at that. Look at Matt. He's all done.
All done now.
I like that magenta. The magenta shadow just lifts that up and pushes her up off that base.
Yeah, it looks super cool. I finished the freehand on her fronts.
Woo!
And then extends to the back a bit. Yeah, more to do, but yeah, this side is stretched out more since her arm is lifted up, so it was hard to get to. It was hard to get to the eyeball, so it worked out.
It came out great though.
Thanks, Steve.
I think it tells exactly, like it reads correctly, right? Yeah. So that looks really good. Look at Aaron's.
Ooh, cool. Look, glowy.
Fiery gobblegoo.
Love it.
Sweet.
Square bases aren't legal, so you have to rebase that.
I think this is actually a 3D printing like like a profile thing or something. I don't know. It was whatever was laying on the table.
Oh, is it like glue tacked on or something?
No, it's glued on, but I always put just barely any glue and I zip kick it so it just pops off. Or in theory, it will pop off. So yeah, I got to get that on a regular base here pretty soon.
I do the double-sided tape on a big dowel rod.
That's a good idea.
This one's all double-sided on there. I can just pull her off.
I like having the big grip, something to hold on to.
Yeah.
Or paint caps.
Also, check this out. We got the Iceman, and we have something that's providing the lighting.
Yeah, nice.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
So that's gonna look freaking gorgeous on the tabletop.
So, was that planned, Matt, or did that just accidentally happen?
No, it just happened. Honestly, I have a few figures that could be providing like the lighting.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, really dug that.
These
guys, like every new figure I paid like they're looking better and better. I'm like actually really excited about it in a way that I haven't
Wow.
been in a long time. So it's cool.
Like I said, some of my favorite figures of paint, not even all scales, honestly. Like I love that Jean Grey, that Psylocke, just it's so good. They're so good.
Oh man, I love that Psylocke.
Like especially the
I
scale
love
though,
it.
I think that like they're kind of
Yeah.
a head above. Honestly, they're really cool. Anyway,
This is that little bump, right? Like that little bump is super nice to have.
Mhm. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, you could have gone true scale, and that would have sucked. 25 millimeter for the win.
they're just right. Honestly.
Yeah, it all works out.
They're superheroes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're superheroes. Everything like so. Talk about scale real quick. I don't want to keep y'all too long. Everything is based around Captain America. So Captain America is kind of our
Oh.
watermark, right?
Mhm.
Like so everything
Benchmark.
gets. He's our benchmark. Yeah,
Mhm.
Captain America. Everything gets scaled around him.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
well, like it's great. Well, we should probably wrap up. But it's been great having you, Dallas.
Yeah, and
Always
thanks
good to see
everyone
ya.
for joining us. As well
Thanks
too
for
on the
putting up with
stream.
our sausage jokes, Anthony.
Yeah.
I apologize, Liz.
Aaron almost died, but he survived.
I almost lost my life tonight.
We'll see if Ross lets me back.
Yeah.
Hmm.
How'd it go? Well, we talked about sausage and balls for like 2.5 hours. Aaron giggled
Well,
like a little schoolgirl.
hopefully we can have you back on, Dallas, for again in the future. Maybe
Yeah.
you can get things set up so we can watch you doing some painting. It would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I talked to Ross about getting a camera set up here so we can have it down and we can see what I'm working on instead of just me going.
And there are more
Yeah,
questions from the
yeah.
community as well too. So yeah. Oh, she's looking good, man.
Nice.
Cool.
on.
Alrighty.
Thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you all next time. I will definitely. I'll have this probably put up on our YouTube page probably in the next couple days. So
Yeah.
we'll post a link for that.